Hello. Hi. Sorry. Hi. Hello. I know it's like an hour and a bit past when I said I would stream, but here I am, streaming still, irregardless. And my dog's here. That's what this is. My dog is here. My lovely Georgia, who is trying to sleep. She just ate, so she's all sleepy now. I haven't taken her for a walk today because it's too hot. So that's gonna have to be late. Hello. Hi. I'm late today because I was playing Smash with my roommates and a guest that we had over. Yeah, no reason to dwell on that. Anyways, today, that is really in the way. Hold on. She's still visible there, yeah? Yeah, I think that's good. It got really quiet all of a sudden. It smells like pizza. Are you making pizza? Oh my god, it's silent. I hate that. Okay, hold on. Two of my friends are online. We don't need to worry about them. I know who they are. Okay, so last time, let's do a quick recap of this so far. I am a man who is working for an organization that is trying to figure out why the sun went out the first time. Oh, it's garlic bread. Okay. I'm getting hints of garlic. Mostly pizza, but I'll trust you on it. I'm a man who's working for an organization that's trying to figure out why the sun went out. A man died. His name is Sol. He's Professor Sol. And I met his son, named Etienne Sol. And I looked through things to find scientists to see if they could help me figure out why the sun's going out. I was in Cusco, Peru. I was in Peru. And I met a woman named Sharon who drives a taxi. And then Sharon's daughter, Cassie, I think, got kidnapped and then sent back to Australia. So Sharon also went back to Australia, so that's where Sharon is. I was in Peru, and then I went to Quebec, Canada, and now I'm going to Indonesia. And the sun went out again, and we're trying to figure out why. Did I miss anything? There's a cult. There's a cult called The 100 Days. Sorry, I'm not gonna move the dog camera around too much, but I mean, if she's probably just gonna lay there for the entire goddamn stream, so I may as well center it, you know? Good dog. She is alive, I promise. Anyways, that's what happened last time. There are 15 arcs of this game. Last time I got through 4. This time, probably also gonna get through 4. Which means there will be 7 arcs for me to get through in the last stream, which will be tomorrow. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. I'll play, we'll see how it goes. The chicken seasoning is very, oh sorry, that's my phone, I forgot. Okay. So, let's, play. We're beginning. I have my water here, also. I also have Sunny D, Werther's Original, and also my Calypso. Sponsor me, Calypso, please. Please, God. I want unlimited supply. This has not been refrigerated, and it's been open for a while. I should probably not drink the rest of this. It doesn't say refrigerate after opening. There's a hair in my eye. I'm just gonna pretend it's... Oh, it does. It says it right there. Whatever. It's fine. Oh my god. Get out. Sorry, I know I said that we would start and I'd stop procrastinating, but... it's just in my blood. Okay. I lost track of day and night, and the days of the week as my direct flight turned into an endless round of airport terminals, uncomfortable chairs, and dinners with lids. The blue one tests me at work all the time. The blue Calypso. The best one. The peach one's pretty good too. If they had a cherry one though... Oh my god, I'm sorry. There's something inside of my eyeball. I'm so sorry. Okay. My journey was constantly interrupted by heavy fog, storms, and even volcanic eruption. By the time I finally arrived at Denpasar Airport, I knew a large number of my fellow passengers by their first names and by the names of people waiting for them on the other side. Along the way, I found the most fluent English speakers among the Indonesians returning home, and we exchanged numbers. Interesting. Due to the attack on Chrissy, I resolved not to mention them in my reports or even electronically record their details. Okay. Kadek was badly disappointed that I didn't have a younger, handsome brother for her to marry, since she was obsessed with everything American. Otto was a tour guide who said he knew the beaches of Bali better than the back of the seats in front of us. The three of us said goodbye with half-delirious promises to keep in touch. 1 hour after leaving the airport, I was in a hotel recommended by Otto and fast asleep. One new meds, so we'll go sleep without warning. Yeah, we have a dog cam now. There she is. She's here for the week, so she'll be around. This really does smell. I know. I've been smelling it. I've been new. Also, I hope your new meds are working well, Pika. Best cam. And that's okay if you dip out. That's all right. Do what you need, man. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the curtains. It turned out I'd never closed them. How long was I asleep? Good morning, teacher. You slept for 11 hours and 45 minutes. The best sleep. Is it really morning? Here, I mean? Yes, teacher. The temperature outside is 82 degrees Fahrenheit with 84% humidity and a 17% chance of rain. That is the most humid fucking day. What is 82 in Celsius? F to C. It's 27. That's literally today. I guess it's 29 today. Heat warning in effect. Okay. Yeah, they're great. Just makes me sleepy at first. That's okay. I recommend wearing cotton clothing with long sleeves to help protect against sunburn. When you can, buy a travel umbrella and waterproof shoes. Would you like to choose the color as well? Thank you. The breakfast bar has closed, but there are several eateries in the area. I would never in my life wear a long sleeve cotton shirt in 27 degree weather at, what was it, 80% humidity? No. No fucking way. I would literally die. I suddenly realized I was starving, so I dressed hastily and followed Modi's direction through the thick air towards a bowl of homemade granola with a freshly squeezed orange juice instead of milk. It was delicious. I felt better despite sweating so much. I felt better despite sweating so much. Period. I already needed another shower. Dolores had chosen not to assign a specific Indonesian contact for me. She did send me a picture of the Peruvian national, Victor Santiago. Sorry, I'm having trouble. She did send me a picture of the Peruvian national, Victor Santiago, saying his travels aligned with the murders of both Professor Sol and my intended contact back in Peru. Your intended contact? Did you never meet them? This is, okay. So this is really hard right now because I'm trying to remember Redeem Pet Dog. She's sleeping. So I'm reading a book right now called Nightwork, I think. And it's about this guy who is the only person left on Earth. And like the stories are like kind of similar, but not really. So it's kind of like weirding me out that there's different people in this, and I'm trying to remember a lot of shit. And I keep remembering things from the book that didn't happen in the game, and then while I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about things that happened in the game, and I'm like, wait, hold on. They have a very similar, like, apocalyptic vibe to them. Anyways, there's a ringing going on in my ear right now. Thank you. Golden eyes stared out of the photo at me. It was curious that other than his eyes, he looked completely normal. The worst humans so rarely looked evil on the outside, but there was good news. He hadn't followed me to Indonesia. Kadek was a local born and bred and seemed to be related to most of the island. Yes, to most of the island. She would know exactly who to talk to. On the other hand, Otto was a diver with specific knowledge of tides and equipment. What am I doing? What is my goal? Why would I need Otto's? What? Hold on. Okay, thank you. I'll do that. Okay. I felt better. I need another shower. The Lord had not chosen to assign a specific Indonesian contact for me. Why would I choose Otto then? I need to know a person. Call Kadek. Why would I need to know the tide information? I called Kadek and a man answered the phone. He spoke just enough English to hold our conversation, and it was clear he was grateful for the practice, or I would have enlisted Modi's help. When I asked if I could speak to Kadek, he said yes. Then there was a long silence. Hello? I said at last. Yes, he said hello. Can I speak to Kadek now? I asked. Oh, yes, now is good. Another long silence. Where is Kadek? I asked. Is she there? Oh, he said with an air of revelation. You want to talk with Kadek? Yes, I said. Please. Kadek who? He asked. The one who lives at this address? Was it Nikadek? He asked. I don't think so. He laughed at me. Big Kadek or little Kadek? I was more confused than ever, so I read her last name from the card. Is this the Balak family? He shouted with laughter. No, but that is little Kadek. Please wait. Please to wait. I waited and heard voices and peals of laughter in the background. At last Kadek answered the phone. Sorry about that. I forgot to warn you about Balinese names. Was that your father? I asked. Why didn't he know who I meant? Kadek is only my first name, she said. It means second born. Every traditional Balinese family uses the name for their second child. Oh, I see. You are firstborn, so your name would be Gede. Is Gede. G'day, I repeated. Sharon would like that. Very good pronunciation, she said. You've got it. Okay, I said, so you're the second child. I see. Not second, she said. Sixth. After four children, the names repeat. Oh, I said, so there are two people named Kadek in your family. No, she said, beginning to laugh again. My mother and father are both second children, so there are four people named Kadek. My head was beginning to hurt. So what should I call you? Kadek, she said firmly. I like the name, but if you are trying to tell us apart, you can call me Kadek Balak. Malak means I'm the second Kadek. Oh my god. The second child, I said. That's it, and if there's another Kadek Balak, you can call me Nikadek Balak to show that I'm a girl. If the other Kadek Balak is a girl, well, that would get a bit silly. Yes, it would. Do you want to ask me something? She asked. Yeah, what the fuck? Oh, yes, I wanted to ask your advice on where to go. Oh my god, where to go to pick up some of the satellite fragments that have been washing up. Perhaps as a local, you know a good place. Oh, right. That's what I'm looking for. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Just a moment, she said, and I listened to her entire family yelling at one another in Balinese. Even Modi couldn't translate that. Just when I thought they'd all kill each other, Nikadek Balak, came back on the line. Everyone agrees, she said. That was agreement? Damn girl, I don't care about your entire family history. Exactly, goddamn. Oh yes, she said, nearly. You need to choose between North Bali beaches or the island of Nusa Penida. Both places are close to the Indonesian thoroughfare. I have cousins in both places too. Nikomang in Bali and Niputu at Nusa Penida. Nusa Penida. Oh my god. Both girls, I said, desperately holding on to onto my one piece of local knowledge. That's right, Kadek laughed. Good luck finding what you need. Don't forget me. I assured her that I wouldn't and ended the call. The Indonesian through flow. Oh my god. Did I really read it as thoroughfare? The Indonesian through flow is a major ocean current that passes between the islands of Bali and Lombok. Nusa Penida is a smaller island in the middle of the channel. Thanks, Modi. That's exactly what I needed to know. If it's in the middle of the channel, right, scientifically, if there's a big rush of water, right, and then there's something in the middle, shit's gonna get stuck on that, right? Like, yeah, it could get stuck on, like, the sides, but shit's gonna hit the center. It's gonna get stuck on that. So we're going to the island. Catching a boat. I followed directions to Sanair Beach and caught a boat that looked like a cross between a catamaran and a canoe. I don't know what a catamaran is. Mostly it just looked small, especially as we drew away from the shore and it suddenly became clear that we were at the mercy of the wind and waves. Is it like a kayak? What is a catamaran? Catamaran. Oh. Okay. You know the boat that they have in Moana? It looks like that. This. Anyways. Now that we've established that. Okay, wind in the waves. The boat's owner laughed at my nerves and cheerfully advised me to vomit on the lee side of the boat so my spew didn't get blown back in our faces. Other boats dotted the choppy water here and there, but most were larger than ours. So I guess in between is 1.5 canoes. It's a canoe and a half long. That's the real way to measure things. Fuck the metric system. The other boats dotted the choppy water here and there, but most were larger than ours. It was extremely windy, and I saw clouds gathering over Bali's mountains. Ahead, Nusa Penida looked very different. Gold and... Oh, that's a semicolon, sorry. Looked very different. Gold and forest green instead of the million frantic greens and tropical explosions of color back on Bali. Moana! Mikwe! At last, the boat deposited me in shallow water at the foot of a dirt road that led almost directly to a hotel with smaller houses beyond. At last, the boat deposited me in shallow water at the foot of dirt. Moana mo problems. The hills beyond the town looked too steep to climb and were covered in thick forest. I paused for a moment to appreciate the feel of soft earth beneath my feet, even if it was just a thin layer of topsoil over the coral sediment. By the time I checked into the hotel, the queasiness had faded, and I was hungry. I don't care if you're hungry. I hired a vehicle requesting a 4WD, four-wheel drive, and receiving a motorbike. Okay, it technically had wheels, so it was close enough. It came with a free tourist map, but I ignored it, simply driving north until I reached water and then getting out to explore on foot. Several other people explored the rock pools and swam or sunbathed with friends. I soon used up all my drinking water as I searched among the seaweed and shells tossed up on shore. It was clear from the sharp drop-offs near the water that the tide was dawning out much further than usual. Sorry, I'm struggling. I kept walking, finding more and more to examine along the way. Eventually, I realized the sun was setting, and I turned around to retrace my steps. Really just thought 4WD meant like a bra size. My man got on the island, and he's like, "'Kay, first things first, I need a bra. I need that sweet 4WD. Nah, it's four-wheel drive. I kept walking. Eventually, the sun was setting and I turned around to retrace my steps. That brings some bizarre images to mind. The sun slipped away much faster than I expected, setting the sky on fire before vanishing altogether. I stumbled onwards, deciding I'd definitely enlist some help for my search for the following day. Oddly enough, the beachgoers around me didn't pack up and go home, and said they sat or swam quietly, pausing often to stare at the sky. Why does the sky look like that? I looked up at an enormous circle of black, surrounded by milky stars. It was so large it took me a moment to recognize what it was. That's the moon, Modi. It's much closer than usual. That's why the tides are weird. It seems that although our sun is vanishing and reappearing, our moon is nearer than ever before. It's very dark. Yep. It's just a new moon, that's all. Somewhere tonight there will be a full moon that size. It'll be as bright as day there. Oh my god. I never thought about that. If there's a new moon on one side of the planet, it's a full moon on the other side. I never thought of that. Are you kidding me? Is that true? Oh my god, I spell? Is there a full moon? Yes. Is the full moon the same time around the world? Yes. Hold on. Is it the full moon at the same time around the world? Yes, it's at the same time. Okay. That's why I never thought of it, because that's wrong. Okay. Oh my god. Literally just wrong. It is only a paper moon. Black paper moon. That's a good song. Well, not really. You gotta listen to it a couple times for it to actually be a good song. Now I'm learning about time zones. I don't want to learn about time zones right now. Is it going to crash into the earth? That was the last game we played. I don't think so. But check the news. The moon's orbit has grown more elliptical than before, but it will definitely not collide with Earth. What's your source for that, I asked. You sound very certain. Stephen Hawking. Not NASA. Good enough for me. Stephen Hawking? Okay. Oh, dude, I hated it when I first watched Soul Eater. Yeah. It's not a great song, and then you listen to it a couple times and you're like, you know what? Actually, this song kind of goes off. Kind of be a bop. Okay. It was eerie all the same, having a circle of darkness looming above me. Even though it was night, the air was close and sticky. I was relieved to find my rental again and get back to the hotel. Once I was inside, I felt a lot better. Apparently a few inches of roof tile was more reassuring than the world's most famous physicist. Before I went to dinner, I decided to call my best local contact to ask if they would consider putting me in touch with a guide I could trust. Call Kadek. I was thinking Nat King Cole, but anime songs work since I'm a weeb. Kadek answered the phone and happily gave the details of her cousin Putu, who worked in the same hotel I was staying. She'd meet me in the foyer after her night shift finished at 10 a.m. Oh, rough. I was ready and waiting for Putu at 9:30 a.m. At 11 a.m., I went to the front desk and asked if she was still working. They called her for me and assured me she's awake now. Fair enough. A woman in a rumpled hotel uniform emerged 10 minutes later, introducing herself as Putu. I bought her breakfast, feeling awful. A school of fish washed up 2 nights ago, she said, polishing off the last of a plate of pancakes as big as her head. Would you like to check that area first, or speak to a peddler who usually has a bit of everything? Just almost died the same way as last time I said that in the chat, but with chicken. Girl! Chew your food! That's in Comic Sans. Let's meet your peddler. That being said, my chicken is delicious. I'm glad it's at least delicious. Oh, movement. Movement on the dog cam. There's literally a whole bed. See that corner by her ass? That's a whole bed just for her. It's got toys on it. She's just like, no, I'm gonna lay on the ground. You. Fuck. Or a weirdo. There we go. I do chew my food. I just broke. That right there? That's a good dog. I've already been streaming for 20 minutes. Oh my god. We've made like 0 progress. Okay. That's a good dog. Yes, it is. Putu took me away from the beach into town and introduced me to a man whose face lit up with a betel-nut-stained smile the instant he saw me. He clasped my hand in both of his and had offered me the cut-price dolphin tours, custom-made handicrafts, and a sensual massage before I managed to get a word in. Actually, I said, feeling windswept by the power of his salesmanship, I wondered if you knew where I could get some of the broken satellite fragments that had been washing up in this area. Oh, satellites, he said with a wink. I have just what you want. Very special, very from space. Definitely very genuine. Batu rolled her eyes but agreed that we should see his secret special supplies, which were located at his house. I'm about to get mugged. The man rattled as he walked, hung about as he was with fake Rolexes, brightly colored keyrings with pictures of surfers, and a tray of unvarnished wood carvings of dolphins, surfers, guitars, and other paraphernalia. The tray hung from a wide strap around his neck, braced with a second strap around his back. He gestured as we walked, telling a thrilling tale of finding freshly landed satellite pieces by moonlight of the precious night. Oh my god, the previous night. I'm so sorry. Moonlight, I said mildly. Last night? Caught out, he looked stunned for a moment, and then laughed delightedly, slapping me on the back. You are smart, he said. Very good. His house was crowded with identical hand-carved wooden objects, teetering piles of knockoff Levi's, and an array of posters featuring beach scenes with Bali stenciled on after the fact. Here, he said, pulling out a plastic storage box. I was selling items from this box to some Chinese just yesterday. Batu gave him a look. Not real ones, he asked hastily. I saved the real ones for a special customer, he winked. And here you are. Here I am. Batu and I spread out the sand-coated treasures, quickly discarding dozens of stones, shells, fast food wrappers, and pieces of driftwood. There wasn't much left. I grew fascinated by what looked like part of a solar panel until I saw it was stamped Made in Indonesia. Eventually, I settled on 3 smaller pieces of rubbish that were clearly man-made and not definite forgeries. I will bargain for you, whispered Batu. You Americans never do it right. A me panel, a solar panel. She dived into a passionate argument in Balinese, which brought both parties close to tears at least twice each. Then I just watched her work and paid the tiny price when it was agreed upon. Of course, I was technically buying rubbish. The peddler and Batu both appeared invigorated by this exchange, and Batu took me back to the hotel in high spirits. I drew the curtains and checked for listening devices before examining what I'd found. A piece of cracked plastic with a sharp edge where it had snapped off in a greater hole, a short section of hollow plastic, which used to have a wire inside, and half a keyboard's letter A. Dog takes over reading duties. She's sleeping. Also, she doesn't bark, like, on command or anything. Sometimes she'll see something, or, like, she'll just, like, feel vocal, and she'll just go, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. But she's not a barker. Modi and I photographed the fragments from every possible angle. What do you think, Modi? Space rubbish or normal rubbish? I'm very sorry, teacher. The history of these artifacts... Artifacts? Artifacts. Artifacts. What the fuck? What the fuck? What? If it's a plural noun, it's spelled with an E. But if it's normal, it's an I. What the... What? What? Okay. I was reading the book earlier today that I was talking about, Night Work, and it's spelled draft. Draught. And I read it, and I was like, that says drought. And then I looked at it again, and I was like, that says draft. Who spelled it this way? Anyways, we're learning things today. The history of these artifacts is unclear. So this letter A might have circled the earth, or it might have fallen off someone's laptop and accidentally got itself flushed down the toilet. Yes, teacher. Sorry, she's making grunts. Or it might have arrived in the ocean due to illegal dumping of corporate waste, or because it fell overboard from a cruise ship, or... Thanks, Modi, I get the idea. What do we do now, teacher? It's time for a good meal. Go to the restaurant, maybe you can talk to people. The second I glanced at the bar, I spotted other Americans in the room. Everyone else was dressed in shorts and t-shirts, and a few sarongs and 2 Australian girls in bikinis. What is Sarong in this context. Is it like a beach cover-up? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. I know now. 2 Australian girls in bikinis. The Americans wore tailored suits and Oxford shoes. Interesting. They'd gathered at my favorite table, the one with the best view of the room and every entrance and exit. This is their first time at this restaurant, as far as I know. There were several manila folders on the table in front of them. I feel like I work for them. And if I book it... I mean, these are both weird options. Like, I don't need to flee, but also I don't necessarily need to go and talk to them. This is such an American thing to do. Go and say hello. I went up to the suits at the bar and introduced myself. They stared at me for a moment, and then a slender woman with her hair in a bun introduced herself as Miss Lee. Are you on holiday? She asked. I admitted that I was searching for satellite fragments. Her gaze sharpened. Any luck? Maybe. I have a few plastic fragments that might have been part of a satellite. But then every eye on me. Miss Lee... By then, every eye was on me. Miss Lee put her unfinished drink on the bar. We need to see them. That satellite may be ours, and maybe ours, and as such, any fragments are ours to retrieve. I'm sorry. I am having such a bad time reading today. I would be interested to hear in what you think of them. Miss Lee and her entire company accompanied me to my room, where I brought out my 3 pathetic pieces of what I hoped was satellite debris. They examined them carefully, presenting a wall of suits between me and my little hotel desk. It's impossible to determine the origin of these pieces without further study, Miss Lee informed me, although the shape and style of this keyboard fragment suggests that if it came from a satellite, it was Chinese rather than American. This is saying a lot more than hello. Yeah, this is the American in it. Even though it's a letter A, I said doubtfully. Hello there. Even though it's a letter A, I said doubtfully. 2 of Miss Lee's associates spoke at the same time, assuring me that was the case. She cut them off with a glare. Nonetheless, she said, we'll need to take these fragments back to our testing facility in order to gain a fuller picture of what they are. Accept the invitation to your facility. We left at once, and I was careful to gently insist that I carried my own satellite pieces. I was surprised to be led to a large private helicopter in a nearby field, but I tried my best to hide it. Of course, the facility had been set up inside a warehouse on the edge of Denpasar. The helicopter was the fastest, simplest way to travel. I enjoyed it very much, despite the dour company. Miss Lee finally cracked a real smile at me. Before I came up here, I'd never been in a helicopter. Now that the crippling fear is merely terrifying, I can see why people like it. I happily listened as she pointed out features of the stunningly lush land beneath us. It felt odd to walk on solid ground again after we had landed. At ground level, Bali's imperfections showed. It was hot, with an open trash heap on a nearby corner. The pavement was full of holes, revealing the city's drainage system underneath as a gaping darkness. The security guards at the door insisted Modi be turned to flight mode before I entered the warehouse. I obeyed. The air hummed with the noise of a dozen portable air conditioners, doing an imperfect job of making the warehouse more comfortable. Other teams worked on computers here and there in grouped-together desks. I was the only person not wearing a tailored suit, and I wondered how they all survived without passing out. Miss Lee led me to a central laboratory, where I relinquished my satellite pieces to various machines I didn't recognize. They're scanning for trace elements, she explained. The test will take several hours, of course. Would you like to make your own way back to the hotel or take the helicopter? I'll stay here. I'll hang out. Thank you, I said stiffly. I'll wait. She smiled sweetly and gave me a folding chair. It might be a while. I kept silent, becoming one with the increasingly uncomfortable chair as I watched the facility forget my existence and continue doing their work. I caught snatches of conversation here and there, mentioning the Chinese and Indonesian governments, but nothing coherent. Then someone, 2 partitions over from me, played a distorted sound fragment over and over and over again. They fine-tuned the sound as well as they could and gathered more and more people to listen. I stayed very still, although both my legs had gone to sleep. Modi, I whispered, remain silent but record that sound. Yes, teacher. Teacher, the recording is in Italian. Should I offer to translate? Yep. Recording, where are Luke not blind? What's happening to me? Is anyone... You have any idea what it means or who it is? The name Luke is insufficient to identify the speaker. Thanks, Modi. Someone switched on a large screen TV, where images of nighttime flooding and a heading of Banjir de Bali Utara de Nuestra Penida. I'm sorry. We'll have to watch VOD or something. Say goodnight to the dog. Georgia. Pika says goodnight. There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Enjoy your sleep. Was enough for the whole room to instantly understand that the high tides were now destroying homes. Someone switched on... Oh my god, sorry. The giant Oh, this is rough. The whole giant warehouse erupted into action as people hustled to get to the shoreline, where there was likely to be even more satellite debris washing up. One of Miss Lee's staff remembered I was there and paused to ask whether I wanted to accompany them to the beach or return to the hotel on the way. He made it abundantly clear that I wouldn't be getting my satellite fragments back. I will come with you to the beach. I'll just keep hanging out with him. The tide was even farther out than the previous night, but it was coming in fast. Huge amounts of tangled seaweed lay in pieces at the edge of the water. I caught glints of something else caught in the fronds and guessed the satellite rubbish was still washing up. Miss Lee was right. Far down the beach, where I could see a huddle of houses right on the shoreline, people were working to fill and stack sandbags as the light went away and the sea drew ever closer. It was going to be a long night and time was running out. If I searched through the seaweed with the other Americans, I might be able to find some new fragments and slip them into a pocket before they were also confiscated, but it might be better to help people save their homes. That ain't your job, boy. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, that's the right thing to do morally, but you have a job, and this is why you're here. I plunged into the rubbery seaweed, throwing it up onto the sand in handfuls as I sorted through the huge piles to find what was caught inside. I found cans of local Bintang beer, empty Coke bottles, and fast food wrappers. The water swirled around my knees as I held my torch between my teeth and kept searching. As in flashlight. It was no use. Suddenly the water lit up around me, and I turned to face a miniature camera crew, complete with an American reporter. What's your name and what are you doing here in the middle of the night? Last thing I needed was publicity. What if Victor Santiago or his insane crew tracked me down? I mean, if it's a reporter, then surely. Shaken, I returned to the hotel. Okay. I stripped off my sopping clothes and put them in a bag for the staff to have washed. I was more tired than I'd realized, so I showered and then crawled into bed with my hair wet. Teacher, you have a phone call. Is the line clear? Yes, teacher. Put him through, thanks. It was Otto, checking I wasn't anywhere near the beach. I'm not, I said, touched that he would check up on me. I hope you're able to keep working elsewhere. Don't worry about me, he said. How is your investigation going? May as well, whatever. I think the American government might be trying to remove all evidence of the satellite, I told him. The world already knows the satellite has fallen, so I'm not sure what the point is. I suppose if they can pretend it's someone else's satellite, they seem more in control. I had a mixed tour group last night, said Otto with a sigh. American and Chinese, both trying to relax after a workday, not real tourists. It was very tense between them, and there was nothing I could do to relax them. If you and the sea can't make everyone friends, no one can, I said. He laughed. Teacher, are we in danger here? Why do you say that? You are withholding a great deal of important information. I'm being cautious, Modi. I don't know who to put in trust in the moment. Is everyone else hiding their information for the same reasons? Yes. Some of them, certainly. I just don't understand why China and America are so determined to hide that satellite. It's a malfunction, certainly, but these things happen. Were there toxins on board? Was human error involved? Or is the truth more frightening than that? How can a government be afraid? A government wants power. It's always afraid of losing that power. What are you afraid of, teacher? Snakes. Just spiders, nothing else. Afraid the sun will go out for good. Yeah, that one. I'm not afraid of snakes, by the way. I was making an Indiana Jones joke. We will figure out how to keep the sun shining, teacher. You do not need to be afraid. Thank you, Modi, I said, reassured and oddly touched. I settled down and let my cares drift away, knowing Modi was watching over me. Sorry. I awoke refreshed and laid in bed to enjoy the sensation that I had no planes to catch and no insane murderers currently nearby. The regular sounds of the hotel outside my room were different, louder. Perhaps a large group had arrived. I made myself presentable and headed down for breakfast. I saw at once that a lot of people had indeed arrived, but it wasn't a tour group this time. The TV crew was set up in the overcrowded foyer, filming local refugees and giving a breathless update on a second night of record tides and flooding. Go into the foyer. I headed into the crowd, hoping I'd be able to do something useful rather than simply add to the crush. A baby was screaming, setting my nerves on edge. I turned and saw an exhausted woman holding the crying baby in one arm and a sleeping toddler in the other, with 2 more children clinging to her sarong. That was one family I could help. Why? Don't... What? I went to her and asked if she spoke English. No English, she said. I asked Modi to translate for me as I offered my room key card to her. Ah, okay. There's tea and coffee and milk and some packets of chips, I said. Maybe more. I thought he was gonna, pick up a kid and, try to take care of it. I was like, don't do that. What are you... Anyways, maybe more. Help yourself, and feel free to sleep in the bed and watch the TV. If you leave, just drop the key card at reception. When I saw that she looked unconvinced, I added, there's only one key, so I won't be able to get in without it. You'll be safe there for as long as you want. She says she doesn't speak English. You're speaking a whole lot of English for someone who doesn't speak English. She hesitated, then took the key. One of the children holding onto her skirt... Oh, I guess he used Modi. Oh my god, I'm stupid. Thank you for me... Oh, I see. The children holding on to her skirt managed a passable thank you for me before burying his face again while his sister giggled. Walking slowly so she didn't trip her children, the woman headed for the lift. I felt a moment of discomfort at the thought of letting a stranger into my room, then dismissed it. This wasn't the time to be my usual suspicious self. I spotted Patu having a rapid-fire conversation with an older woman. Judging by her bearing, she was the hotel manager. Another baby began to wail in distress and hunger. I saw the reporter of the news team wince as the sound ruined his shot. The camera bore a sticker showing the Australian flag. I missed Sharon's cheerfulness and wished she was with me. I don't know if I have money for that. Go tell the Australians to make themselves useful. I made my way over to the Westerners and channeled my father as I told them off for being selfish. These people need food, water, shelter, and somewhere to rest. I bet you have loads of food and water with you, so how about you share it around? They stared at me as if I was naked and painted green. I turned away without waiting for a response and went to make myself useful. Teacher? Yeah, what up? The moon is coming closer. Right now? Do you mean it's falling to Earth? No, teacher, but the tide tonight will be higher, and the island is fragile. What exactly do you mean, Modi? I said, squeezing past an overweight woman carrying a garbage bag clutched to her chest. How can Nusa Penida be fragile? The island is made of coral sediment, teacher. Tonight's high tide is likely to significantly alter the coastline. Do you mean some people's homes might just fall into the sea? Yes. Also, the king tide will interact with the Indonesian thoroughfare. Are they changing the spelling of this? The Indonesian thoroughfare, meaning it is likely that most of the habitable areas of Nusa Penida will be underwater for some hours. How likely, I said, ignoring the movement around me. 73%. Oh, I said. I spotted the other Westerners handing out bottles of Evian and smiled for a moment. They definitely had significant useful resources, but they wouldn't know who was in charge locally. Tell the locals. They're important. I spotted a bald Indonesian man herding people into groups and then delegating others to go from huddle to huddle, finding out what they needed. With Modi's help, I told him of the greater danger to come. I saw a flash of weariness before he gathered himself and asked, "What do you think we should do?" Go on boats. Get 'em out. With Modi's help, I told the bald man that I thought a thorough but brief evacuation into boats was the best option. We needed to start preparing right away. He called for silence and explained everything to his people, and then they all took out their phones and began spreading the word and coordinating vessels. I thanked the man for his good sense, not worrying about having Modi translate. He understood and thanked me in Indonesian. I left him to his work and grabbed some food for myself while I decided where I'd be most useful. Why this man got a hero complex? I collected a key card from the front desk and went back to my room to pack. Didn't you give your room to the... Is there not a woman in here right now? You look so weird on the camera. She doesn't look like that, I swear. The quiet and space of the room was bewildering after the hectic morning. My bed had been made while I was gone. I showered and had a long drink, not knowing when I'd next have running water. I filled every drink bottle I could find, arranging them in my bag as evenly as possible. Then I joined the crowd of humanity, packing up everything as they couldn't leave behind. I'd helped people move house before, especially as a student. The typical payment was a pizza, dinner, and some beer. I tried to imagine how much pizza and beer it would take to move entire towns using that currency, and concluded that the answer was a lot. The light began to fade, and some people were still packing. It was time to go. The one good thing about a tidal flood was that it would be relatively easy to outrun. I joined the long line of people hauling their belongings into the steep path inland. Night fell like a curtain, and the giant eerie circle of the new moon made the road treacherous underfoot. It wasn't an easy climb, even with my light pack. I handed out some of my water, shone my torch along the track, and helped an elderly man haul a wheelbarrow. About half the travelers were children, and they were flagging fast. Flagging fast? Oh, like white flag, okay. When we passed a semi-cleared lookout point, most people broke away and began spreading blankets and tarpaulins. That's a thing on a boat. I learned that when I read Life of Pi. On the ground, ready to settle in for the night. Many of the children who had been barely hanging on completely lost it now that their journey was over. Some kids fought one another or screamed for their favorite foods. Others simply sobbed with exhaustion. Modi, talk to him. I'm not singing the alphabet. Despite the makeshift nature of my entertainment, I quickly gathered a crowd of both adults and children. A large number of younger crowd found me sufficiently distracting now that they calmed down. I carried on until I was thoroughly wrung out and rather inclined to swear off children altogether. Settle down. May as well. Don't want to get eaten by a bear. I heard a collective gasp and saw the shifting darkness of the sea coming in, overwhelming sandbags and homes, and still coming onwards, looking as if it would never stop. I was too late. Are you scared now, teacher? Maybe a little. Just this once. I stared in horror as nature moved to destroy everything around me. The ground shook, rumbling like thunder. I had to get out of here. Steeling myself, I broke into a sprint and ran up the steep hill, the only possible safety. Teacher, teacher. I'm running as fast as I can, Modi. Stop! I was so shocked to hear Modi giving orders that I obeyed. What is it? I cannot, through inaction, allow human beings to come to harm. What is it, Modi? There is a small group of elderly women close to the water. They are showing signs of shock. Well, why are they there? Above the rumbling of the earth shifting beneath us, I heard music. It took a moment, but I spotted a huddle of white-haired figures too close to the action. They were standing around a grand piano. Who is lugging a grand piano? I blinked. How did the large instrument get to the middle of the hillside? Who said, damn, can't leave my grand behind. Gotta bring that bad boy. Pack her up, fellas. God damn it. One of them was hitting it, emitting a musical cry for help. No one else was nearby. Cursing, I ran down to them, stumbling on the gravelly soil underfoot. What the fuck is happening? Come with me. None of the women responded to me, and I tried again. Teacher, I don't think they speak English. Let me help. Before I could say anything, Modi spoke to the group of women using the speakerphone. One of them replied back in the local language, and Modi had a short conversation with her. She said the piano must have rolled down the hill when the ground shook, teacher. They will not leave the one playing the piano. Then stop playing the piano. The woman pounding on the piano keys was still playing the Indonesian national anthem, but there was no other help coming. Come with us, we have to go, I urged, but she didn't even look up. I grabbed her arm, startling her out of her obsession with the piano. She jumped and emitted a strange popping sound. That was when I saw that she had a child's Etch-a-Sketch toy hung around her neck. Suddenly I understood. She was a deaf mute with an Etch-a-Sketch instead of a chalk slate. That must be rough. That would be so hard to write on. At my gesturing, the woman started walking towards the danger. Wait, stop, that's not what I mean. I stepped in front of her and said shortly before remembering that she was deaf. The woman with the Etch-a-Sketch suddenly spotted Modi on my wrist and exploded into an array of pops and whistles while tapping on her toy. I blinked. It seemed Modi had a fan. An intense briny smell washed over me from the oncoming water. It would have been delicious. If it wasn't eroding Nusa Penida from under my feet. I want to read that properly, but it is hard. How the fuck is Modi gonna do it? He only has a speaker, right? I don't know. Showing her Modi's translated words, the woman nodded. She immediately walked away and strode up the hillside, the other woman falling in behind her. She turned back to give me, or perhaps Modi, a perfect smile. Modi, I said, hurrying towards the women. Have you met her before? I don't know. How can you not know? I puffed, pulling myself upwards with the help of low-hanging branches. I don't recall any specific incident, teacher, but she is tagged as extremely familiar. That doesn't make sense. How could she have hacked your program somehow? Certainly not, teacher. We reached a small plateau and I sank gratefully to the ground. Why are you so sure she hasn't hacked your programming? I asked gently. The calluses on her hands and the angle of her back indicate that she has spent her entire life working in a rice field. It is unlikely that she would also be a proficient hacker. I mean, okay. Could she have had an accomplice? The lines on her face indicate a great deal of smiling and none of the fine mark of grease associated with a habitual liar. The relaxed angle of her shoulders indicates that she is not being coerced. In summary, she is our friend, a kind and honest woman. Raising my eyebrow, I studied the woman's features in closer detail. Modi appeared to be right. I felt... My neighbor decided to mow his lawn. It's okay, George. It's alright. Just gotta get up and go see. Okay, well, I can move this then. Yeah, I know. I felt a little unnerved. Modi had always been something of an observant detective, but something felt different this time. Very well, Modi, I said. In that case, I'm glad to have found her. The woman was sitting with us on the ledge, swinging her legs over a gap on the exposed side and drawing furiously with a magnet pen on her Etch-a-Sketch. That's... okay. She caught the sense of my eyes on her and looked up, stopping her... Georgia, I know. It's a weed whacker, dude. Stopping her drawing to attach the plastic pen against the side of the Etch-a-Sketch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, all without breaking eye contact. I nodded, feeling foolish, and held up 7 fingers. She gave me another cheeky grin and went back to her drawing. Apparently the weed whacker is too concerning. She had to leave. It's fine, she'll be back. I'm gonna move this down slightly. There. Move closer to peek at the drawing. I moved to sit closer, and the second I sat down, she shoved the Etch-a-Sketch into my hands. Okay. An Etch-a-Sketch shouldn't lend itself to great works of art, but she had shaped the iron fillings into the image of an owl with a surprisingly penetrating glare. Thank you, I said, since an attempt at communication was better than nothing at all. She rolled her eyes and showed the picture to Modi before erasing it with a flick of her wrist. Then she began drawing the same picture again. I turned to one of the other women and had Modi translate it as I asked who the Etch-a-Sketch woman was. The other woman shrugged as she replied, Modi translating as she went. No one knows. She moved here a week ago. She plays with the kids and draws everyone kind pictures. Kind, I repeated, wondering if Modi had mistranslated. She nodded vigorously. 2 years ago, I had a miscarriage. I still keep a teddy bear I bought for the daughter I never had. She drew the bear for me, so softly, as if she knew everything. I looked at the woman with new eyes, wishing I could speak to her. I left that teddy bear behind, the other woman said, sounding surprised. I used to take it to work with me every day and hug it and cry at lunchtime, but I didn't even think of it. Isn't that funny? I'm glad you found peace, I said softly. The woman craned her neck to see past me. Why is she drawing you an owl? I don't know, I said. The woman raised an eyebrow. All right, then. She turned to watch her home as it was being destroyed, apparently perfectly content. And then my phone rang. It was Dolores, which was a disorienting shift in contradictory realities. So tell me, she said smoothly, do you have the sense to evacuate, and what have you found? Oh, did you have the sense to evacuate, and what have you found out that's of use to General Resources, Inc.? I mean, I may as well tell her everything. I don't know why I'm so suspicious of the company that I work for. We're just trying to figure out where the sun went out. Well, right now, I'm on a coral sediment island that's literally washing away thanks to the world's biggest king tide, but I'm perched up in the forest, so I'll most certainly survive. Good, she said smoothly. And what about General Resources? I told her everything, the shady government operatives from China and America and my own small findings, all of them. It was my job to tell her everything, after all. I even told her about the recording by the mysterious Luke. I couldn't believe I was giving a report while people were losing their lives and their liveliness all around me. Setting my conscience aside for the greater good, I took on the formal tone of an official report and gave her the advice that was most obviously useful. God damn it. I don't know what that said. Excellent, said Dolores. So the sun is definitely not going to go out for good. You're certain of that? Tell Gree that I am. If I'm wrong, I'll have greater issues than their anger to deal with. I heard her muttering a dictation to her own Modicon device. Investments will be worth billions. I tried to put the ruination of thousands out of my mind, but it wasn't easy. Dolores went on. Spread news of double government cover-ups, multiple satellites dropping to Earth, etc. Wait, what? You're not going to deliberately spread panic. I'm going to massively increase profits. Yes, she said. That's our job, remember? Besides, it's all true. I looked at Modi and bit my lip. Oh, said Dolores, sounding cheerful. Have a listen to this. She played a garbled and staticky recording that wasn't even in English. That's it, I exclaimed. That's the recording. Ah, she said. It was recovered in Indonesia from one of the larger pieces of debris. It's Italian, Dolores continued, and it translates as, where are Luke not blind? What's happening to me? Is anyone... What does that mean? I asked. It means conspiracy, she said, which means profit. It also means we're the best. Okay. That piece of dynamite was live for all of 25 seconds, and we got it. Congratulations, I said dully. Cheer up, she said. I also happen to know your old friend Victor Santiago, the golden eye who probably killed your professor, has just boarded a flight to Tokyo. Etienne's in Tokyo, I said. Why? Why is he in Tokyo? Why do I not remember why he's in Tokyo? I'm sure he'll be fine. Try to focus, alright? I need to call him right away. Sure, you do that. We'll talk again later. She hung up and I called Etienne at once. Hello, he said, sounding in need of a friendly ear. Is everything alright in Indonesia? I quickly told him about Victor Santiago. Every time I brought up the subject of his father's murder, the tone in the park warden's voice darkened a little more. Noted, he replied tersely, clearly down in spirits. Was that the only reason you called? Am I about to flirt with Etienne? You need to be careful, okay? We continued chatting, the conversation leading to paranoid scientists and the onslaught of nature. I felt centered talking to someone I knew and trusted. Meanwhile, those around me were gathered around a single smartphone playing a news update. I have to go, I reluctantly excused myself. Okay, be careful over there, Etienne said before he finally hung up. I walked over to the others and had Modi translate the news feed. The news discussed volcanic eruptions and flooding on both sides of the world, all connected to the moon's altered orbit. Okay. A local billionaire and scientist was offering safe haven for anyone affected in exchange for their eyewitness reports. The owl woman sketched a map of Java and drew a dot for Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, giving me a questioning look. There's no grass that grows on this side of the house. It's literally just weeds. Anyways. She wanted me to go there, I realized. I studied both the map and the owl woman curiously. Sure, I'll just nod. The night passed slowly. Morning came and we continued safely to wait on the hill, the ongoing destruction in the distance clearly still on our minds. It was only in the evening, Modi indicated, it was finally safe to descend. The island would probably flood again the following night, but not as badly. I hoped the island attracted plenty of engineers to test the area and judge if it was structurally sound. If not, 50,000 people had just lost their homes. An elderly woman came to me and said something before rejoining her group. What did she say, Modi? She's offering us a place in town tonight, teacher. Sure. Smiling gratefully, I followed the group down the hill in the darkness. They seemed to know where they were going. Before I knew it, we were in a small town largely undamaged by yesterday's events. The elderly woman ushered me into a small house. There were dozens of refugees sleeping on floor mats in every room. I suppose I should be thankful that I was protected from the elements and wasn't sleeping in a tent. My phone rang just as I was preparing to sleep. I saw that it was Sharon, and my heart plummeted. Please be good news, I whispered and picked up the call. Chrissy's safe, Sharon yelled through the phone. What? I exclaimed, forgetting myself and speaking loud enough to be heard miles away. I lowered my voice. What happened? She's my daughter is what happened, Sharon said, oozing pride. She escaped. And she's all right? I asked. Really? Yes, said Sharon. We're all shaken, but we're made of tough stuff. I laughed. I know. You're kind of invincible. I told her about Victor Santiago in Tokyo and how I was worried about Etienne. Sorry, I gotta change how I'm sitting. Sharon told me to trust that he could take care of himself, being a park warden and all. Then we started chatting about the 100th day cult. It was at that moment it suddenly occurred to me. Sharon and Etienne weren't just persons of interest in my job anymore. They were my friends. There's a bug. I didn't catch it. Oh, there's Arc 5. Arc 5 done in what, an hour? Yep. You and 9% of players witnessed half the island sink into the sea in Nusa Penida. Well, I woke up damp and exhausted, with 3 young children sitting cross-legged in front of me. They saw I was awake and exploded into giggles, fleeing into their respective sleeping places. Good morning, teacher. Morning. Sorry. Morning, Modi. Any updates on the news? The situation is stable now, teacher. It should be safe to return to the hotel. I sat up, stifling a groan as I realized I was still not alone. My elderly host proffered a cup of sweet black tea and chatted happily in Indonesian, clearly not requiring comprehension or responses. I will have breakfast first. I will gladly have breakfast with these people. I spent an oddly pleasant half hour eating fried rice laced with dried fish while my host chatted merrily away without requiring anything more than the occasional nod. After I was finished eating, the elderly woman and the 3 children waved at me as I picked up my belongings and left. Walking back to the hotel, I found I was exhausted. I needed a break. Sorry. The hotel displayed handwritten signs that Modi assured me meant it had been tested and declared safe for habitation by the government. I was utterly overrun by a multicultural cornucopia of aid workers, engineers, builders, and non-government organizations. About half were Indonesian or included Indonesians in their group. Others were Chinese, American, Australian, and even East Timorese. Timorese? The cavalry had officially arrived. I packed up my things and checked out, just as an all-American medical aid team was desperately attempting to book themselves into the hotel despite their complete lack of Bahasa Indonesia. Okay. Oh, the language. Oh my god. Hi, I said. I don't speak Indonesian, but Modi does. Would you like a hand? Yes, please, said the closest American, looking confused only briefly when Modi took over the conversation. Modi mediated communication between the Americans and the locals for a few minutes. He's just standing there with his arm in between them. When it was done, they thanked me for my help and prepared to leave. Do you know the best way out of here? Someone on the other side of the group leaned leaned sideways to address me across their colleagues. I saw various people ferrying locals to Denpasar, some by helicopter and some by boat. It doesn't matter that you're not a local. The less civilians in the disaster area, the better. Are we leaving already, teacher? I ignored Modi. Where can I find them? Head straight down the beach for the boats. As for helicopters, head up to the roof of this hotel. Look for boat. Silently, I followed the other fatigued refugees down towards the beach. When I finally arrived, my breath caught at the sight. There were hundreds of fishing boats on shore. The local fishermen were handing out supplies and helping ferry people across the waters. There were so many volunteers, many of the boats were half empty. The fishermen steering my boat deliberately rounded the island to give us the best possible view of the aftermath. From the sea, we had a picture-perfect view of the town that was worst hit by the tidal wave. Hundreds of homes were partially or completely underwater, and there were people on every other roof waiting for rescue. I watched the receding shore in silence. I enjoy helping people, teacher. Will we do more relief work in the future? We need to focus on the big picture. Do you ever wish you could perform a different function, teacher? I raised an eyebrow. Why was Modi asking me this? What do you mean by that? Do I wish I had a different career? Is that what you mean? Yes. I mean, me personally, yes. Every single time I have a job, I'm like, I wish I didn't have this job. This guy also doesn't really seem to like his job, though. So we'll stick with a casual do you. I believe I perform optimally as your emoticon, teacher. Thank you, Modi, I replied, smiling. I'm glad you're my emoticon, too. My free ride dropped me off at the seaside bus terminal that was packed with buses rumbling in every direction. It was impossible to make sense of the chaos. With Modi as my translator, I bought 7 packets of peanuts from a 12-year-old boy who was sufficiently pleased with me that he agreed to help me find a taxi. The boy is asking us where we are going. What should I tell him, teacher? Jakarta. The owl woman wanted me to go there. At Modi's translation, the kid looked thoughtful before asking another question. How are we planning to travel, teacher? By bus, I guess. Bus ride was 15 hours of overheated torture. I slipped in and out of nightmare-filled sleep. The island of Java was bigger than it looked, thanks largely to the permanent nationwide traffic jam. Okay. I guess I should have maybe chosen by air, but that's okay. I arrived in Jakarta, reeking of body odor and desperation, and an ominously aching throat and dry cough. What do we do now, teacher? Standing by a busy main road of the bustling capital, I thought about my options. Modi, is there anything going on in Jakarta? The woman who had drawn me a picture of an owl was a strange one, but she was rather emphatic about me coming to the capital of Indonesia. The question is too broad, teacher. Please narrow it down. Look into the recent news and tell me if you see anything unusual in Jakarta. Very well, please give me a moment. The president of Indonesia is speaking at a wake for the victims of the tragedy. An international sports event is cancelled because airplanes had to be diverted away to avoid volcanic ash. An Indonesian solar power company has declared bankruptcy. A research center is offering sanctuary to scientists and refugees. We need to go there. We have to meet scientists, right? I felt my heart thump. That one, I said quietly. The research center. What can you tell me about it? I am cross-referencing the information with different news sources. Please hold. Done. The center is run by Dr. Petrus, a billionaire philanthropist and an accomplished scientist across multiple disciplines, so he's Iron Man. It is reported that many scientists are seeking refuge there. My mind wandered to Japan and ATN. Thanks, Modi. It looks like we found our lead. Not wasting time, I immediately called the research center, but it got its voicemail instead. I tried a few times, getting the same result. It seemed their line was busy, so I left a voicemail. The research center is about an hour's ride from here, taking traffic into account. What are we looking for in the research center, teacher? I'm unable to determine its relevance in our task at hand. Scientists. I need me the scientists. I didn't expect much, but the head of the research center suddenly phoned me back personally. You've come all the way to Jakarta, he cried. You honor me. Thank you, Doctor. I'm sure there will be others who will be grateful for your hospitality. Doctor, he said, sounding aghast. Call me Petrus. Petru? I insist. I'll send one of my drivers to pick you up. Thanks. I made my way out of the cover I was under and braced myself for the crowd and the pouring rain outside. Teacher, don't go that way. I stopped in my tracks and instinctively stepped behind a concrete column. What is it, Modi? I said. What'd you see? A suspicious man is waiting outside, and there's 87% possibility that the lump under his shirt is a weapon. Yikes. I had Modi send an image of the man to Dolores, asking if he was anyone on the company's radar. She messaged me back immediately. He's nothing but muscle, but he's associated with the 100th Day group. I've attached a photo of his immediate subordinate in case you spot him too. Exercise caution. I studied both photos. Your man frequently calls his subordinate your dolt. I decided mine was therefore Mr. Boss, and the other Mr. Dolt. Modi assured me Mr. Dolt was nowhere to be seen, and they would tell me at once if he made an appearance. Keep an eye on him. Why would I go run directly past him? I mixed in with the crowd, keeping an eye on Mr. Boss with Modi's assistance. Unfortunately for me, the driver Petru had sent was surprisingly prompt. I saw her making her way through the crowd carrying a ridiculously giant sign with my name written on it, and Petru name in the instantly recognizable font that had been all over the news. I charged out to grab the driver before she arrived directly next to Mr. Boss. Not fast enough. Mr. Boss spotted me and his face lit up. He shoved aside the businesswoman next to him, making a beeline for me. I dodged a metal-edged suitcase, a pair of skateboarders, and a shouting taxi driver, trying to get to Petru's driver before Mr. Boss. She saw me coming and gave me a brilliant smile, faltering only a little at my crazed expression. "Run!" I yelled at her. "We have to get out of here!" She froze for a moment, then twisted and used her sign as a prow to cut through the sea of other people waiting for new arrivals. I set a course to intercept, and so did Mr. Boss. The driver and I popped out of the crowd and ran towards the taxi rank, where her illegally parked sedan stood out beautifully. I sprinted for the passenger side door, hearing the beeps as the driver pulled out her keys just behind me. We dived into the car and slammed... I died. That's okay. We dived into the car and slammed and locked our doors. We screeched away from the curb. I heard a third car door slam and twisted in my seat to see Mr. Boss's gun pointed at my face. I was listening, but I had to be on the floor for a bit. That's fair. "Drive," he snarled. "There is a gun in my face. I'm gonna do what he tells me to." "Don't shoot," I said wearily. "We'll drive for you." "Ah," he said, "I do like to be obeyed." "What do you want from us?" He sneered. "Neither of you are of any interest to me." "Then why are you following us?" the driver asked. "Why not let us both go?" He smiled and shrugged, waving the hand that held the gun in a dismissive motion. "Free ride," he said. "Rumor has it Wiryanto Salih may already be at Petru's digs. If not, he'll be there soon." "Who is Salih?" I asked. Salih? I don't know. Mr. Boss rolled his eyes. "He's the person that'll be traded for both of your lives." Mr. Boss laughed, clearly enjoying himself. The traffic around us grew heavier, and the rain showed no sign of letting up. I was feeling more and more claustrophobic. The driver gave me a desperate look, and I realized it was an apology. She was going to try and escape on her own. She's gonna dive. She's diving. I smiled at her, delighted, and she smiled tremulously back. After that, I looked out my own window and listened for the moment she held her breath. The light ahead of us turned red, and the endless line of traffic grew even slower. She held her breath, and I immediately started hacking and coughing, drawing Mr. Boss's attention to me. He swore as she fumbled her way out of the car and ran away between the stationary vehicles, splashing with every step. She's the one driving. We're just gonna be sitting in this car? I'm running. I fumbled my way out of the door and ran awkwardly, lifting my feet high so I wasn't wading through the puddles. They were as high as my ankles in places. I ducked around corners at random, heading into deeper and deeper water until I left the cars behind. Soon the water was too deep. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like this thing of light here. Keeps like shifting because of the plant in front of my window, and it keeps grabbing my attention from my peripherals. Soon the water was too deep for pedicabs or roadside stalls. The food sellers in the area perched on milk crates on their stalls and on the front porches of neighboring buildings. I slowed down and looked back. There was no sign of Mr. Boss. The water reminded me eerily of the tidal flood I'd experienced so recently, but it wasn't seawater. Jakarta simply didn't have the drains to handle its own rainwater. I kept walking until I was thoroughly lost and soaked to the knees thanks to a hidden pothole. Yeah. Any ideas, Modi? We could still head there. I updated Petru before checking into the first hotel I saw. I guess there was no choice there. It was go to a hotel. It was mercifully average in every way, and I washed my wet clothes in the bath and settled in for a quiet night. The sun woke me, and I looked out the window at a squeaky clean city under a pristine sky. Go to Petru. What does Mr. Boss want with a philosopher like Mr. Sal? Sal. How do you say that name? Because I guarantee it will come up more. Indonesian. Sally. Well, it ain't fucking English. Whatever, it don't matter. I'll say it how I'm gonna. I stopped watching a push bike loaded with chickens negotiating a new snarl of traffic and looked at Modi instead. I have no idea, I said. What do you think? Do I think? I don't know. Modi appeared satisfied. Finally, the taxi pulled up at an ornate cast iron gate. I paid the driver and got out, not at all sure if it was the right place. A watchman in a little booth built into the wall greeted me by name and pushed a button that automatically opened the gate. Before I left him, I showed him a picture of Mr. Boss and told him everything I knew, including the fact that he was armed and planning to come here. I walked up an enormous circular drive surrounded by an exquisitely manicured garden complete with mature trees casting merciful patches of shade. I'm sorry, my nose is really itchy. When I passed the trees, I saw Petru's house and stopped walking to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Yep, it was a castle. I recognized Petru as he walked out to meet me, on the drawbridge, over the moat. Other people I didn't know stood and waved from the battlements, with 5 standing abreast between each crenellation. The stones of the castle were a gorgeous blue-gray. There's another bug. Get out. I don't know why there's bugs in my room. When I managed to walk forwards and greet Petru, I saw the best part of all. The moat was churning with real, living tropical fish. Some of them were larger than I was. I was also pretty sure I saw a shark in there. Please tell me those sharks are legal. This place is amazing. Absolutely, Petru said. I spent a genuinely enjoyable day touring Petru's castle and his extensive grounds. Petru himself talked to everyone along the way as if he had nothing else to do that day. At first I was impatient, but then I realized I was being given a tour of the people of the castle as well as the architecture, and I discreetly asked Modi to keep notes on the conversations for me so I didn't forget all the names. Every night a different group cooks for the rest of us, said Petru, but tonight the groups are relatively small, so you have a choice of which meal to have. Is philosophy one of those groups? I asked, wondering exactly what kind of food they might come up with. Not at all, said Petru. People don't cook by specialty, but by nation. That way the different schools of intellectual thought find their common ground and share their information in a natural way. That's brilliant, I said. I know, he grinned. That was my idea. So would you like French or Russian tonight? I don't know. French. May as well, whatever. Dinner was a glorious pasta dish made all the more glorious by the liberal application of a creamy garlic sauce. The cooks laughed at my rapturous expression and fed me more freshly baked buttermilk rolls until I begged for mercy. Petru had assigned me my own quarters, and my dirty clothes had already been washed, dried, and then put away into a hand-carved chest of drawers. Go chat it up with the watchman. Learning things. The watchman was thrilled to have company. We played cards for hours, mechanically moving them up and down and around as we talked. His name was Denai, the exact middle child of 5. He knew more card tricks than I'd heard of, and could shuffle a deck one-handed and juggle a range of items flawlessly. As the sun rose, I was yawning so hard I thought my jaw might dislocate me constantly. The cough I'd gained from my bus ride across Drava was getting nasty. You should have slept last night, Denny observed cheerfully. I grunted in response. Denny set up a camping stove and began cooking us a breakfast of boiled sweet potato. I was starving, and the bubbling water was perfectly enthralling. Until Mr. Boss suddenly appeared. That's him, I told Denny. That's Mr. Boss, the one who's after we're Yanto Sale. Yeah, said Mr. Boss proudly. That's me. So you just blurted out who you were sent to... That scared the shit out of me. The neighbor turned their weed whacker back on. I thought it was the dog throwing up. Oh my god. Okay, so you just blurted out who you were sent to stalk? Denny asked him. Mr. Boss shrugged. Is there anyone else you want to annoy or hurt? Denny asked. Nope, just hanging around on the idea Sal will show up. Can you hear that? That is so loud. Nope, just hanging around on the idea Sela will show up. Maybe. Is there really a castle back there? With aquarium moat, Denny said cheerfully. Want some sweet potato? I looked at both of them, confused at the exchange. Sorry, my hair's bugging me. No, don't let him in. You hang around here, I'll have the police remove you, I told Mr. Boss. Brian. Fine, he said, dropping his napkin on the floor. See you later. I asked Danny to call me if Brian showed up again and headed inside. Brian? As I wandered through to my personal suite, I saw an Indonesian man frantically scribbling in a notebook and 3 of my Russian friends speed-walking along a wide hallway while arguing passionately in their native tongue. Finally, it was time to glean some insight from the brilliant minds all around me. Follow the Russians. I hurried to keep up with the Russians, who at last stopped walking altogether and simply yelled at one another. 1 or 2 gave me a friendly nod between rants, and I took that as permission to have Modi translate for me. They are disagreeing about Luke's sexual preferences. Who's Luke? I asked. Are you unfamiliar with the Star Wars film series? They're arguing about whether Luke Skywalker is gay, I asked slowly. Yes, teacher. The actor Mark Hamill says Luke can be interpreted as being gay. However, one of the canon novels mentions that he is married to a woman and fathered a child. So maybe he's bi? I said. I believe our friends will soon reach that conclusion, teacher. Great, I said woodenly. Well, thanks for that insight, Modi. Apparently today was not a very sciencey sort of day. Go look at the aquarium. What an offshoot that one was. I descended into the depths of the castle, but there weren't any dungeons, just a glorious aquarium environment with hundreds of fish floated by in perfect serenity. Hey, you're back. Hi. Welcome back. Where are you going? Keep your nose out of my garbage. You can just see your tail. I walked all the way around, delighted. Every so often, a glass partition made the aquarium, inside the aquarium, separated one group of fish from the next. That explained why the sharks and other predators... Come here. There you go, good girl. That explained why the sharks and other predators weren't bothering their usual prey. Georgia, what are you doing? Inside of the circuit was lined with benches, with all the feeding and heating minutiae on a major aquarium visible through more glass behind me. I saw a range of people cleaning, feeding, and studying the fish. It was a beautiful thing, and I felt refreshed. Sorry. I'm looking at my dog. You look silly. You do, you look silly. She's pooping the camera. You are skinny. Maybe I should feed you a little more. Well, no, because that's normal. You just got a bony ass. Let's chat with Modi. What's up? I'm very curious about street food, teacher. Of course you are. Alright, I said I'm interested myself, and I may as well take some time off while I figure Jakarta out. I left the complex, pausing at the gate to have a quick chat with Denny, the watchman, who was heading home himself. He recommended I try eating Bosco or Soto. I was too embarrassed to ask what they were, so I simply agreed. I picked a direction and simply walked. I'm doing a lot of things simply. I picked a direction and simply walked, taking in the intense smells of rubbish and drains and heat and humidity, along with tropical flowers, street meats, and my own sweat. Look, teacher, that stall sells both Bosco and Soto. Thanks, Modi. Let's try the Soto. I sat on a bench inside the street restaurant. I was thinking like street trucks, like food truck. So I was like inside. Sheltered by a tarpaulin strung between wooden supports. What the fuck is a tarpaulin? Hold on. Like, I know that it's a part of a boat, but what fucking part? It's literally just a tarp. Boat. It's just a tarp. It's literally just a tarp. Oh, it's that. Okay. Okay, now I know. Hi, Skilling. I don't know why I keep reading your name as Skiing. I know it's not. I know it's Skilling. Hello. We have a dog cam now. That's my dog. Georgia. George. Hi. Hello. She's tired. She's had a long day. Oh, such a rough life. Anyways, a tarpaulin strung between wooden supports. Call me whatever you want, it's cool. Just know, I'm doing my best. I am dyslexic. Not officially, but I'll be damned if I'm not. What the hell? I need to take a shower. God, my hair is so weird. Okay. The dish was a kind of stew and mercifully lacking in chilies. It had a base of coconut milk laced with sweet soy sauce with pieces of chicken, fresh lime, tomato, and boiled egg. Anime hair. I described it in suitably glowing terms to Modi, and the stall owner got the gist of my conversation and gave me a second helping. I was just finishing up when I spotted Mr. Doltlip walking past, singing Over the Rainbow in a baritone that could have sung solos in a professional choir. I look like Prison Mike right now. Not the Prison Mike bandana. When I stream, I can't read a name. I apologize so much. Oh, absolutely. Dude, I'm so sorry. Even just reading, like, some of the names in this story, I'm like, oh my god, I cannot read. I froze, staring at him as he continued on his way without looking into the meager shelter of the food stall. The other one seemed very chill and relaxed, so I feel like this one's not gonna be. You know, if it's like a good cop, bad cop kind of thing, I feel like he's gonna be weird, so I'm just gonna follow him. I hadn't even emerged from the food stall when Mr. Dolt hailed a taxi and scrambled to get into my own in order to keep up. Our taxis took us to an upscale restaurant called the Raheja. I was a few steps behind Mr. Dolt when he went inside and immediately ushered to a table where Mr. Boss was waiting for him. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. A push-up has been requested. I don't even need to change it. I can just leave it on this, because you can see me in that camera. You ready for it? Sorry. Hi. Ignore me. I'm just gonna do a push-up in behind you. There we go. I have done a push-up. And hydrate, you say? Done. My throat is hydrated. Love you. Every eyelash I have just decided to go into my eye. Oh, have you ever, like, flipped your eyelid up and then you just, like, bleh, bleh, bleh. She's chewing her toes. George is a toe chewer. Okay, I don't need to change it. Okay, watch them. We gonna watch. Mr. Dolt and Mr. Boss, Brian, greeted each other as Erwin and Brian, respectively. Great. I watched as they ordered a range of dishes and barely spoke to one another. I grew hungrier and hungrier watching them. You just ate, homeboy, what do you mean? And Modi began asking questions about the various dishes that I was pathetically unqualified to answer. Sorry, I don't know why my nose is so itchy right now. Finally, after the desserts, Mr. Boss, aka Brian, dropped his fork with a clatter and sat back. Mr. Dolt, aka Erwin, was still eating. Brian took a deep breath and began to speak. I couldn't make out the words, but the general content was clear. Erwin didn't look happy about Brian's newfound connection to Petru. Ask Modi to assist. Erwin surged to his feet. You've joined them. You're a filthy traitor. What accent is this supposed to be? They pay more, you dolt. Brian yelled at him. Erwin produced a gun and the restaurant erupted in running and screaming. Just get out of there. I stumbled over chairs as the restaurant patron screamed and fled from Erwin's weapon. All I succeeded in doing was drawing his attention to me. He leveled his gun at me and walked slowly among the chairs and tables, spilling rice towards me. I'll punch him. I ain't running. He bellowed something inarticulate and socked me in the guts. I doubled over, gasping. Teacher, are you alright? I wheezed at Modi and hoped it was reassuring. Shall I call the police? I caught my breath in time to dodge as Mr. Dolt, Erwin, aimed a swift kick at my shins. Fortunately for me, he wasn't the fighter Mr. Boss, Brian, was. Watch out! Yes, call the police. I'm calling the police right now. Erwin gathered himself and leaped at me, grabbing my neck with both of his hands. I dimly realized he must have dropped the gun. Somehow it didn't encourage me as much as it should have. Yank away. I'm assuming I'm still standing. Erwin and I tumbled together on the floor, hitting chair legs on the way down and landing in a slippery puddle of sauce. Erwin scrabbled for perches, groping at my face, my mouth, my eyes. I heard people yelling, Mr. Boss among them, but couldn't make out what any of them were saying. I threw myself to the side, dislodging Erwin, but only for a moment. He was growling like an angry dog. Everyone, it seems, has a breaking point, and his was me tripping on a chair. How has my day been? It's been pretty good. One of our friends came over, and me and my roommates played Smash Brothers, and we played Mario Kart, and I went to Walmart and bought some mouthwash that my dentist suggested that I get, and I got gas, because it's supposed to go back up tomorrow, so I was like, I'm getting gas today. And my dog's here. She woke me up at like 7. Well, she woke me up at 5. And then I went back to sleep until 7. And then I went back to sleep again until 9. I used to get an eyelash in my eye every time I took a test in high school. They always find the most inconvenient times. We stumbled to our feet in a ludicrous embrace, clutching at one another and veering sideways. Suddenly something hit my calf with bruising force, and Erwin was the only thing holding me up. Playing Mario Kart with friends is an awesome time. Yes, it is. We were playing the new courses that came out on the Switch. The new oh my god, booster packs. And I'm very glad that Waluigi Pinball is in it now, because that is literally the best course in the game. And that's not even controversial. That's just a known fact. Everyone loves Waluigi pinball. We swayed and then fell together into a pool of water. I also like Tick-Tock Clock, though, which was a DS one. I had Mario Kart DS. I didn't have Mario Kart Wii, which may be why I prefer the DS courses. Is that a bug or my neighbor still? He's using a saw now. What on earth is he doing? Whatever. More water cascaded over our faces. We'd fallen into the pool at the waterfall's base. Something flicked a tail in my face and I spat bubbles, twisting and straining to get away. I did not know I was near water. What is happening? Something else had its claws in my arm? Not a fish, not claws, Erwin's hand. Where am I? Crush him against the fake rocks, wriggle and kick out of his grip. I shoved and bit and punched, but Erwin held on to me like his life depended on it. Maybe he can't swim. Then he didn't. He shook like a palm tree in a hurricane, and then his fingers opened and I was free. Free from Erwin's grip at last, I stared as he spat at me and struggled against the one who held him. Brian, you mad geezer, Erwin yelled. Let me go. Shut up, both of you, said Mr. Boss. Don't you know this is some nice place? Now look at what you've done to it. Shame on you. I looked around at a wasteland of spilled food and scattered belongings. Mr. Boss was right. It was a mess. I heard muffled sobbing coming from under one of the few tables that had managed to keep its linens in place. Some poor stranger was still in fear of their life. Can we go back to the castle now? I backed away slowly, pausing only to loudly promise to pay for the damages, and left the Rahasia restaurant behind, away from the Erwin and Brian. I left a trail of damp footprints behind me, but found a concierge sufficiently coherent to accept one of my credit cards as I left. I walked back to Petru's castle, working out some of my aches and drying out some of my clothes. My mind cleared as I walked. I'd gotten into plenty of altercations with Brian and Erwin, and I'd eaten plenty of delicious food, but so far Jakarta was a bust. It was time to ask for help. I had a shower, changed my clothes, filled a bowl of water for the black cat, who clearly considered my room his own, and went back out to the gate. Denny was there yet again, and I wondered if he ever slept or went home. Ask him where to find Petru. It's Thursday, he said, so they'll all be in the dining hall, the dinner one. I thanked him and went inside to find over 100 people sitting behind laptops and piles of papers around the dining hall. The tables had been arranged into a giant square. The tables. Did I say the papers? The tables had been arranged into a giant square. Petru sat among the crowd, and I slid into one of the empty chairs. After half an hour of back-and-forth conversation that went over my head despite the translator's best efforts, Petru asked me a series of detailed questions about the natural disaster that escaped so recently. I answered as well as I could, and Modi proved to be an excellent eyewitness, remembering several details I'd missed. Several people took copious notes and asked additional questions. There was a murmur of concern when I shared that the satellite debris was from more than one satellite. Modi played the recording of the lost Italian man, and the room erupted. I had no idea what I'd done, but as the buzz of conversation finally settled down, I heard the same name over and over. Luca Parmigiano. Petru stood and the room fell silent. I'll attempt to contact Luca Parmigiano as soon as possible and invite him here so we can question him ourselves. Luca Parmigiano is an astronaut. He recently returned from the International Space Station to work as an aquanaut in his native Italy. I wonder what he saw when the sun went out. That's a good point. I was suddenly very curious myself. This game all reading? Yes, it is. Yep. Yes, it is. I really got myself into a jam here with this one. That's okay. I'm gonna have it finished by tomorrow, and then next week we'll do Mario. In conclusion, said Petru, there is no evidence of geological anomalies, but there is evidence that the sun is not the only star to vanish and reappear. My mind reeled at the implications. Was the entire universe ending? We have two main information sources to follow up, Petru continued. I'll seek out Luca Parmigiano myself. Who would like to visit our Australian photographer? No one spoke, but I saw Patru looking at me, and I gave him a slight nod to indicate I was interested in hearing more. The meeting was adjourned. I remained seated, waiting for Patru to finish his array of conversations. How would I call Dolores? What is she going to tell me? Modi, what do you think about this Australian photographer? I said. I've never been to Australia. Do you think Miss Sharon is still there? Will we go stargazing? Slow down, I said with a laugh. I haven't made a decision yet. We need to talk to Dolores first if we want to keep spending the company's money. Putting her through now. Really? Hello, sunshine, said Dolores, enjoying your tropical vacation. Hello. Actually, I'm looking into investigating an Australian who's taken a series of pictures of the night sky. Glad to see you're paying attention to internet sensations, she said. Sure. Remember, you need to get there first so we know how to spin the story. Right, I said, the story. Don't get smart with me. I'm sure it'll help your little quest too. I'll email the info, but you can book your own flight. Thank you, Dolores, I said this time without sarcasm. Sharon is in Australia. Why would I call Etienne? Please call Sharon for me, Modi, I said. Say hello from me. G'day, stranger. I felt myself relax at the sound of Sharon's Aussie drawl. You sound good. I am good, she said, and you? Better now. Do you know anything about this Australian lady who says she has the world's best pictures of the stars? Sure, she said. H something. Sounds legit. Are you gonna come visit? I'm thinking about it, I said. She whistled appreciation. I might just have to put off going to Japan then. Oh, I said. I didn't know you had plans. Wait, Victor Santiago is in Japan. It might be dangerous. For him, yes. That man is a bloody bag of bollocks and I intend to make his life hell. Please be more careful, I sighed. We should go together, she said, as if announcing an idea for a road trip. He's after people who know things anyway, right? So maybe you can get to them first and learn something useful. I'll think about it, I said faintly, not wanting to admit she had a point. Feeling even more worried than before, I tried Etienne. Are you all right? He barked through the phone. I'm fine, I answered. Why wouldn't I be? I heard him draw a slow breath. Sorry, being blown up can make a man jumpy. What? Santiago just blew up the not-so-secret base here. I'm working with the police to sort through rubble for survivors. Etienne! He gave me a dry laugh. I'm all in one piece, bleeding here and there, but nothing broken. Well, nothing important, anyways. I don't know what to say. Please tell me Santiago's been caught at least. He sighed. No such luck. There are so few of us left, though. I doubt he's stuck around. I love how you're so upbeat and happy about everything. Oh, yeah. He's still in Japan, I said. I'd know if he'd flown out. Would you? Etienne sighed. Well, I'd better get back to it. I think they've found someone under a big piece of concrete, and it's all hands on deck. All right, I said, leaning against a wall to ground myself. Stay safe. Oh, yeah. No, I'm upbeat and happy about everything. You too. Don't get blown up. It's not as fun as it sounds. Hypocrite, I said. Try not to get yourself shot or crushed, please. Same to you. We need to help our friends. I agree, Modi, I said. Is Sharon going... Oh my god. Is Sharon going where you go? I think so, yes, I said, pleased at the thought of seeing her again. According to the romance genre, she's attempting to court you. Do you really think so? Romantic films are fictional. They provide unreliable data. We're just friends, Modi. I don't think she has tried to court me at all. I was sad to be leaving Indonesia, if only because I'd missed the food. My last dinner in Patru's castle was cooked by all the Chinese residents who yelled at each other in Mandarin and Cantonese while people gathered and waited for the food to be served. I thought the Chinese were going to kill one another and let the rest of us starve, but then the kitchen doors opened and a heated table was rolled out by grinning nerds. Apparently the yelling was purely the tones of two Chinese languages, that and high spirits. I'd never understand people. I spotted one of the cooks from my first night and took my sweet and sour dish with crispy noodles to their table where they happily made space for me. The table was a delicious smorgasbord of accents, featuring Indonesian, French, Russian, and German, as well as others I didn't recognize. I congratulated myself on picking a table where people had chosen to speak English as a compromise language. I was the only native speaker. I sat between a Parisian chemist named Antoinette and a Russian engineer named Robert. Okay, hold on. I can do push-up. I'm pushing up. I'm pushing. Up is about to get pushed. Oh, I'm breaking things. Oh my god. Hello, George. I'm back. Once again. you're so tired. It's not like you've done anything today. Oh my god. Roll backwards, thank you. Okay. Done. Oh my goodness. Alright, get Antoinette and Robert's contact details. It really had felt like a holiday, and I was sad to leave. I packed my few belongings under the watchful eye of the black cat that was so fond of my suite and lingered at the gate to talk to a different watchman who turned out to be one of Denny's many brothers. The taxi came too soon, and I watched Jakarta through the window, a city of dirt and steel, floods and food. Teacher, do you think people ever change? Yes and no, I said. It sometimes looks as if people are incapable of finding their better selves regardless of the chances they're given. At the same time, people are growing and changing constantly. Like me. Sure. Yes, Modi, you change so quickly it's sometimes hard to keep up. Is that good or bad? It is. So far, I've enjoyed seeing what you're becoming. I'm proud of you, and I like to pretend I can take some of the credit for all the good that you do. Thank you, teacher. Where are we going now? Australia, because I'm meeting with the... You ever tickled your dog's back toes? They love it. My dog. Excuse me. My dear sweet Georgia. She's okay with her feet being touched, but she doesn't like it when you touch the hair in between her toes. So, like... Hang on. Because, like, I can touch her feet all I want. Like, she doesn't really care. And she's got her head up, but if I gently tickle... Oh, now she's... There you go. She doesn't love it. I'll stop bugging her. She's trying to sleep. But yeah, we trained her to not care if you touched her feet to make it easier to clip her nails. Or get other people to clip her nails, or however we want to do it. But yeah, she literally does not care. You can play with her feet all you want. I need to go see the photographers. We're going to Australia. I'm excited to go to Australia, teacher. Shall we inform Miss Sharon of our plans? Do that, Modi. I smiled. Onwards to Sharon's homeland to meet a stargazer. Arc 6 completed. Okay. Goddamn. You and 6% of players will be heading to Australia after surviving the events in Indonesia. Okay. We have a choice to make. We have a choice. Here's the choice for us to make. Oh my god, stop highlighting things. Is this game interesting enough for me to play it tomorrow for another 3 hours? Or until it's finished? Because we're on... What did we finish? Arc 6? Choices that matter in real life. Yeah, okay. So we have 8 more arcs to get through. Are you guys actually genuinely enjoying this game, or would you prefer me to play Mario 64 for the next until I finish it? Because we can drop games. I'm okay with it. Like, I like this game, and I will probably finish it in my own time. But reading all of it out loud, kind of a little bit exhausting. So I need your opinion on it. How do you feel about this game? If they flinch, they can feel their back legs. My dog 4 years ago couldn't feel that tickle. He slipped his disc and his back leg didn't work fast. Forward 4 years, he's all good, living life. Well, I'm glad he is living. I'm enjoying it, but I have no idea what's going on plot-wise anymore. That's fair. How do you feel about it, Skilling? Because I can change... I'm okay with dropping games. Like, I'm gonna play it myself because I want to know how it ends, but you know, I could also not play it on stream. I do kind of want to see you suffer through Mario 64. Don't worry, you'll see that irregardless. I don't mind what game you stream. Okay. Then we'll do my favorite thing when I have to make a decision. Give me a second. Oh, I don't have a nickel. Hold on. Okay. Fuck, sorry. Oh my god. Just fully bumped into that bad boy. Okay. I have here a nickel from ye old year of 2019. Right? It doesn't really matter the year. I just like nickels. Okay. Heads we stay. Tails we go. So if it's heads, we will play this game until I finish it. Probably tomorrow. Which means that's gonna be a... What's the ladder for? The ladder's for a totally different project. Don't worry about it. There's shit on top of it right now. Also, you can see my bed. There's my pajama. There's the book I'm reading. That's night work. Anywho. Okay. Heads we stay, tails we go. Oh my god. Almost fully just... Okay. It's a heads. It's heads we stay. So we'll play this game again tomorrow. I... Probably not gonna... Oh my god. I want to finish it tomorrow. But considering it's 10 hours a round, and I've played it for around 5 hours, that means I would have to stream and be reading for 5 straight hours tomorrow. So I think what I'll do... Maybe I'll do 2 streams tomorrow. Maybe I'll do one, and then I'll take a short break, and then I'll do another one. If you don't want to read, you could play Mario 64 for the last hour and go back. I could. I have 6 minutes to make this decision before an ad plays. I could also keep playing today, and then it would only be like 4-ish hours tomorrow. Oh, decisions. Choices and such. Stream different games on different days. I could do that too. That is true. I'm gonna keep streaming today. I'm gonna keep going. Because I've only been streaming for 2 hours now. Because, not even. Because I started late. So we'll keep going for today. That's the plan. And then we will continue it tomorrow as well. I just wanted to check in and make sure everyone is enjoying the game. And I'm not horribly boring everyone watching. Alright, me and 6% of people are going to Australia. Here we go, to Australia. Sharon met me at the airport in Melbourne with a giant coffee in her hand just for me. Give my pooch a treat. Okay, hang on, let me find something. Hold on. are you doing? Sit. Paw. Good. Other paw. The other one. The other one. You're so dumb. Try to sit. Give me a paw. Good. The other one. Stop laying down. Alright. You tried. That's the important thing. There you go. She's been given a treat. All done. You can go back to sleep now. You've done your work for the day. She knows paw, but she doesn't do the other one. She just lays down and gives up. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. I love you. Loser. Okay. Let's continue. Sharon met me at the airport in Melbourne with a giant coffee in her hand just for me. Practically threw my bag at the ground and embraced her as enthusiastically as possible without spilling the precious brew. Why are they pushing this narrative that Sharon and I are in love? Was that enormous grin for me or the coffee, she asked. Both, I said, and took that first glorious sip before I even noticed the contents of my bags were now spilled across the floor. I bent to pick up my things and pack them away again. My mouse keeps unplugging itself. Sharon knelt to help me, but I was still picking things up when I realized she was simply kneeling, staring at Professor Sol's wooden cog. What is it? What's wrong? Oh, I'm sorry, she said. I think I've broken it. She sat up and held out her hands with the cog cradled inside, but it was in two pieces. How? I moved away to take them from her gingerly, but she abruptly pulled away. Wait, I didn't. It's a trick box, she marveled. See? Sitting down next to her, I saw exactly what she meant. Your shit is still all over the floor. The two pieces of the cog fit back together perfectly, with a pressure point stopping them from falling apart. She fiddled and pulled it apart again, this time tipping out the reflective metal hidden within. It's a key, I exclaimed, reaching out and taking it from her. What's it to? She asked, her eyes bright with excitement. I've no idea, I mumbled, looking at it closely. Why would the professor hide a key inside a cog? Teacher, this size of key would most likely fit a small object, not a door. Small object, like the diary. There we go. Struck with a thought like lightning, I opened my bag and pulled out Sol's diary, sliding the key in the lock. Click. It opened. I whooped and punched my fist in the air, prompting smiles from other passengers passing by. This is good? Sharon asked. This is very good. Well, she urged, what does it say? With a huge grin on my face, I opened up the front cover and started to read. Only to throw it down in disgust. The paranoid old coot wrote it all down in code, I whined in frustration. Sharon picked it up and started leafing through the pages with a confused look on her face. Let me get this straight, she murmured. She murdered. Your friend wrote everything down in a code, in a locked diary, and then hid the key in a clue which has a secret way of getting into it. Yes, I sighed. He was brilliant, but he had issues. Maybe he had a good reason? I had to agree, seeing that Sol was now dead. Teacher, is it possible that Mr. Etienne could read Professor Sol's code? As his father, Professor Sol may have taught it to Mr. Etienne when he was young. That's a good point, Modi. That's a good point, Modi, I said. When we're somewhere more private, I'll contact him. Sorry, I am boofing it. The amateur photographer, Henrietta, lived in Tasmania, some ways away from Melbourne. Lupin the Third Corps. Some ways away from Melbourne, so the journey was far from over. Sorry, I just realized I have like 8 tabs open, and all of them are distracting me. Shall we check for flights to Tasmania? Come on, said Sharon, I already booked our flight. Well, as soon as we landed in Hobart, we rented a car to make our way to Henrietta's town. Hours later, we arrived at the town where the hobbyists lived. It was even smaller than I had expected. I parked at what looked like the town center and pulled out my phone. I opened the file on the stars. The one Dolores had sent me. I've had no luck finding the hobbyist's contact details or even the original article, teacher. That's fine, Modi. This town doesn't seem so big. Look, there's a picture of her out in front of her house. We'll look for her house. There's a picture of her in front of her house. As in, like, there's a picture that is of her in front of her house, not a picture of her in front of her house. That's right. Plot the best way to see the whole town in the least amount of time. I stuck the photo on the dashboard so I could see it without crashing my rental and reversed back onto the road, narrowly missing someone's brick mailbox. I'd given up driving for a reason. I had thought finding Henrietta would be easy, but I was wrong. Though the town itself was small, the area was large enough that after an hour of searching, it became apparent that she wasn't living in the center. In the end, it took another hour to locate the little cottage from the article. By then it was getting dark. Fortunately, the numerous concrete cats in the front yard were distinctive. No lights, said Sharon. Should we come back tomorrow? Do you have a bad feeling now, teacher? Yes, Modi, I do. Local time is 8 p.m. It is unlikely Miss Henrietta is already sleeping. We went and knocked on the front door, not truly expecting a response. Nothing happened. Sharon tried the doorknob and discovered the door was unlocked. We stepped inside, calling out for Henrietta with our last slim thread of optimism. She's dead. A tabby cat charged at us, yowling loudly and twined around our legs with desperate affection. Sharon immediately moved to the kitchen and poured out a bowl of water before looking in the pantry for its food. I left her patting it and crooning reassurance while I checked the rest of the house. The rest of the house was as empty as it seemed. In the living room, I found 2 cups of tea, both stone cold. One had been half drunk and the other hadn't been touched. A plate and several chocolate Tim Tam biscuits lay scattered across the floor. I rejoined Sharon in the kitchen, where the cat was now in Sharon's arms and purring like a steam train. Thoroughly searched the house for clues. We examined the house room by room, noticing that the mantelpiece featured photos of Henrietta's deceased husband next to photos of the cat. Both photo frames were engraved with the name Henry. The pantry was half full of dozens of different types of loose-leaf tea. It seemed Henrietta was a woman who knew what she liked. You have an email from Dolores, teacher. She says that after your ambiguous response to this assignment, she sent a different agent. They took Henrietta into custody. Oh, I said, feeling my stomach tighten in dread. I'd met the other agents. I didn't want any of them to be near an elderly relative of mine. Sharon and I continued our search, but Sharon wasn't enjoying herself ever since I shared the message. At the back of the... Do it. Please. Solar just said she can cosplay Neji. Do it. Do it. If you can, you must. If you can, you should. She looks like a fucking carpet. Look at her. Dumb, stupid. Little carpet girl. Little carpet. I want to throw something at her, but I don't have anything nearby that is like... big and soft, because I don't want her to eat it, but also I don't want it to hurt her. I just won't throw something, it's fine. At the back of the house, we found a room completely covered by photos of the night sky, presumably taken by Henrietta herself. They were beautifully sharp despite being massively enlarged. Modi, are these star systems familiar? I asked. Could any have been taken during a sun outage event? Yes, teacher. No, teacher. I recognize all these patterns as normal constellations. The ceiling features this very location. It would have been too easy to find just the ones you needed stuck to the wall, said Sharon with her usual philosophical calm. We both lifted our heads at the noise of a motorbike drawing into Henrietta's gravel driveway. Does Henrietta strike you as the biker type? Sharon whispered. I shook my head, and we tiptoed towards the back door as someone entered by the front. I made sure Sharon was ahead of me. She was just stepping onto the back porch when something hit me like a punch in the back of the neck, and I stumbled forwards, unable to even gasp out a warning. This poor guy, literally yesterday, just got beaten by Erwin, and now he's got punched in the back of the neck. This poor man. I watched helplessly as Sharon was hit by a second fist-sized projectile and fell off the porch. Before I could get up, our assailant dragged my arms behind my back and duct-taped my wrists together. I watched helplessly as they jumped down to give Sharon the same treatment, not that she was moving. Get your greasy hands off me, you elbow-faced, rock-stealing rat bag? What? I caught my breath, relieved beyond measure that Sharon was okay. Modi vibrated to get my attention and spoke on its lowest volume setting. Shall I summon the local law enforcement? Yes, please. Yes, teacher. The biker dragged Sharon and me into the kitchen and applied more duct tape until we could barely move, yet we could speak. The cat immediately jumped into Sharon's lap and began purring once more. I'd pat you if I could, Henry, said Sharon, but that silly biker has a big problem with us, even though we haven't done anything to her. No, we haven't. It was only then that the biker pulled off their helmet to reveal a young woman. She pulled up a chair and sat on it, staring at us in silence, until even Sharon ran out of insults and stopped talking. Where is she? The biker asked. Henrietta? I asked. Do you mean to say it wasn't you that took her? Why would I take her? The biker said, sounding as genuinely surprised as I felt. For her pictures? I suggested, off balance. They're not here either. The biker shrugged. Aren't you two from the company? Sharon laughed loudly. Are you kidding? The company wouldn't lift a finger to investigate an innocent woman's kidnapping. I know that for a fact, but here we are investigating. Don't tell me you're after the same thing. The biker put her beanbag gun on the bench? Oh, that's what hit. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Like, the little beanbags, the square ones that you, like, cornhole. Everyone knows cornhole, right? I don't need to explain that one. Google it. Who are you? Private investigators, Sharon said promptly. What else? The only person who doesn't belong here is you. I had a tip-off, she said, about the company having an interest in Henrietta and her pictures. I came immediately, but it was a real pain getting my bike on a ferry. I quietly made a mental note to believe Dolores the next time she said the matter was urgent. My name's Genevieve Everdale, the biker said. I'm on the company's complications matrix. I've been getting in their way for years, but Tasmania is not my home turf. Right now, an innocent hobbyist has been abducted and perhaps murdered. I'll share my info if you'll share yours. My back needs to crack. Genevieve found a pair of pearl-handled scissors and used them to cut us free. Of all the people who shot at me, you're definitely the most trusting, said Sharon, rubbing her muscles where Genevieve's beanbag had hit her. I still have my gun, Genevieve pointed out. Sharon laughed delightedly, and I wondered exactly what I'd gotten myself into with such a pair of traveling companions. I have some info that may help us, I said cautiously, wondering if I was about to get myself shot again. There's a company safe house in Swansea. Genevieve's face lit up. I've heard that, but it was never confirmed. Do you know anything about the location? My contact gave me the address, I said. Sounds good, said Sharon. Let's go. Estimated journey duration, 4 hours. Speak for yourself, sugar, Genevieve addressed Modi cheerfully. I'll call you in the morning. With that, she put her helmet back on and left. Sharon sighed. I miss my Harley. What is happening? What is going on? A woman just shot us with beanbags. Neither of us got knocked out. We just hurt. She wrapped us with duct tape, and then we said we didn't steal her, and she just believed us? What is happening? What is going on? This game was, like, solid. It had, like, solid storytelling, and now I'm just like, what? And then the fucking, whatever, the cult, I don't know. We didn't waste any more time and headed straight for Swansea, checking into a hotel in the dead of night. Good morning, teacher. Genevieve is calling. How did she get our number? Put her through, I said, and greeted her. Rise and shine, sugar, she said. Time to go rescue our maiden. Your girlfriend's already having breakfast. I'll meet you in the foyer. Made myself more or less presentable, grabbed Sharon and a bread roll on my way past the breakfast bar and met Genevieve as instructed. We staked out the safe house for hours as Sharon drank impossible amounts of coffee. Finally, she snapped and left our surveillance station to go and knock on the door. There was no answer, so Sharon pried a loose paver and hurled it right through the front window. I burst out of cover and ran to join her, but fortunately nothing happened. Teacher, please advise Sharon to exercise restraint. For once, Modi hadn't spoken directly to her, and I had no intention of saying something even Modi was tactful enough to delegate to someone else. Okay. No, teacher, there's a 75% chance the residence is empty. Good enough for me, said Sharon. She reached through the window and unlocked the door. We shrugged at one another and went inside, confirming that no one was present before going back and closing the door. Genevieve openly pocketed several items. Good idea, I said. Make it look like a straightforward burglary. Oh, she said, yep. The house was small, barely furnished, and it looked as if no homeowner had ever lived in it. There wasn't much to see. We're at a house now? Logbook? What? If I check the weapon safe and there's weapons in it, then we can use them, and it also means that they don't have any, but if there's none in it, then that means that they do have them, and it's no reason to do that, so let's check the logbook. It took a while to find the logbook. It was hidden inside a sealed rainwater tank in the yard. Why? And the entry was brief. Oh my god, my eyes are blurry, hold on. Took guns, etc. Sent pics via courier number 3. Hostage not my favorite person. Transferring to staffed facility ASAP. The agent is now heavily armed. The photos are long gone and Henriette is about to find herself in secret jail, I translated. And the agent has a North American accent, said Sharon. How on earth do you know that? I asked, impressed. 2 reasons, she said. They're being brief, so their grammar is technically incorrect, but they still used a semicolon and punctuation, so it's unlikely that their spelling is incorrect. Except it is. I don't understand, I said. They used American spelling, not Australian, and I don't think it was a misspelling due to lack of knowledge, she explained. Ah. What? And reason number 2 is, why take guns if you already have them, or if you're not comfortable with guns? So the agent likes guns, but is missing their own weapon, probably because of flying here internationally. Excellent, I said, except that doesn't tell us where they're going next. I'm afraid I wasn't aware until today that the company had private jails, so that doesn't help. So what do we do, oh master investigator? Sharon asked. I grimaced. We talk to people. The worst part. The neighbors are the best gossip, or let's find a biker bar. They'd travel and they'd notice a stranger. I mean, the neighbors probably would know if they were home. Maybe that's our play. We split up, knocking on the closest houses at the same time. The red-painted door in front of me opened to reveal a stooped older man with hair like Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry to bother you, I said, but I'm trying to find my second cousin once removed, an older woman named Henry. Traveling with an American fellow? The man interrupted me. A real nasty piece of work he was. Black suit, black hair, black soul. Okay. You saw them? I asked. He snorted. I knew something was awry with that fellow. My Fenway, I said. There's something awry with that fellow. I don't like him one bit. She didn't listen, but I knew. Oh, that's like his wife or something. He paused. The young fellow wasn't another relative, was he, of you Americans? No, I assured him hastily. I've no idea who he is, but I intend to give him a piece of my mind when I find him. His eyes narrow. Why did you say you were looking for the lady? I suspect that man abducted her. Why would I say that she's crazy? His wild eyebrows drew together in concern. Go to the local chemist, he said at once. The lady's diabetic. I heard her talking about her blood sugar. She'll need medical supplies, and quickly. I thanked him breathlessly, and with Modi's directions, we found the closest chemist quickly. As in, like, pharmacist. The only staff member was 20-something woman who was rearranging pill bottles with the air of someone who needed anything to keep herself awake. It's me when I have a job. I bought a travel pillow and then leaned on the front desk and chatted about the weather, the roads, the sea, and whether she preferred cats or dogs. Why? Finally, her eyes started to glaze over once more. Oh, I said, I think my cousin was in here yesterday with his diabetic mum-in-law. He's American. She's local. I bet you saw them. Oh, yeah, she said. Nice car. Really, I said. You're into cars? She sighed longingly. Only Ferraris. Do you know where he rented it from? I saw it had a rental sticker on it, but I couldn't see what it was. Sorry, no, I said, trying to hide my excitement. Was it red? He's such a walking cliche. Totally, she said, and he's so rude to his mum-in-law, too. She tried to stop and chat, but he practically dragged her out, said that they had to get to Hobart in time to catch their flight. Oh, right, I said, and practically ran back to the car. Oh, right! There are multiple routes to the city Hobart from here, all of which will take a similar amount of time. Why would we split up? They're already on their way there. From yesterday, so they're literally there. Whatever, we'll split up. We raced to Hobart carefully, not telling one another that it would be a lot harder to trace Henrietta if she made it to the mainland, or out of Australia altogether. Teacher, is the company immoral? Yes. I sighed. Should have seen that one coming. Sometimes, yes, I'm afraid. They're also very, very rich, which is why we're able to follow leads so efficiently. What would happen if you quit? I'd be added to the complications matrix and possibly killed. I would be in prison for what I know, like Henrietta. I'd probably be imprisoned, yeah. Please do not do that, teacher. I rubbed my tired eyes, sick of taking my turn at driving. Whatever I do in future, I will talk to you first. Thank you, teacher. I saw a road sign with nothing but a picture of a kangaroo on it, and idly hoped I'd see one. I did. It was lying by the side of the road and quite obviously dead. It seemed the road sign wasn't kidding. Would the company take me away from you? Yes. I'll only leave if you and I both agree it's for the best. Yeah. Thank you, teacher. No problem. Would you like me to figure out which flight Henrietta is likely to board with her kidnapper? How would you do that? Updates? Of course. Modi offered no further information. They are both flying to Melbourne in 1 hour. We are too far away. Delay the flight with an anonymous bomb threat or regroup then fly to Melbourne. This one's really funny. Also, I don't know if Modi will, like, let me do that. Yeah, let's do that. Fuck it, why not? Modi, do you think you could call in a bomb threat to the airport at Hobart? Why do you want me to do that, teacher? It wasn't like Modi to question my motives. Perhaps I'd phrased the request oddly. If you report a bomb at the airport, Henrietta's flight will be delayed and we'll have a better chance of rescuing her. I'll call the airport at once! Hell yeah! Don't give them any details about us, I said, suddenly afraid Modi would cheerfully tell the operator exactly what I was doing and why. Modi didn't answer, and I waited in suspense. I am sorry, teacher. I was unable to convince them that the threat was genuine. That's alright, Modi. Your honesty is a virtue, not a fault. Thank you, teacher. You are kind. Please book us on the next flight to Melbourne, Modi. We need to catch up to Henrietta as soon as possible. The next flight is at 6 a.m. tomorrow. That'll have to do. Please also book us rooms at a hotel near Hobart Airport and direct us there. Yes, teacher. Okay. I tried not to think about what Henrietta might be going through. It should have been enjoyable to eat hotel food instead of snatched airport dinner, but the chicken pasta dish might as well have been a pile of compost scrapings. Even Sharon barely ate, woodenly drinking 1 cup of coffee after another. We arranged a taxi for the following morning and went to our respective beds for the night. Sleep, or perhaps it was the half a dozen coffee she drank, restored Sharon to her usual optimistic self overnight, and she assured me that we'd have no trouble finding Henrietta in Melbourne. She was so sure of herself. She was so sure of herself that it was impossible not to be swept up in her confidence. I listened to her banter with other passengers in a calm state of mind. As we walked into the light grey of Melbourne, Sharon seemed to know an enormous number of random people walking past, and more than half of them gave me the suspicious look of an ex who hadn't quite given up on her. So much for keeping a low profile, Genevieve muttered. I forgot you were here. You're just cranky because your bike's in transit, Sharon said cheerfully. I know a guy who's been tracking Henrietta, Genevieve said, ignoring Sharon. He's expecting us. I know a lot of guys, said Sharon. We'll have Henrietta back in a jiffy. They both turned to glare at me, and I realized the choice was mine. Let's talk to Genevieve. Sorry, Sharon. Alright, Genevieve, you're the one who is obsessed with the company. We'll follow your lead. She gave me a predatory grin. So you finally admit that it was the company that abducted Henrietta? That's our strongest lead, I said noncommittally. We caught a taxi. I was faintly surprised Sharon didn't already know the driver, and followed Genevieve's directions to a row of ex-government flats where the only fresh paint was graffiti. Looks weird in daylight, Genevieve muttered, before taking us inside to knock on one of the doors. There was no answer. My teacher is very good at picking locks. I slapped my hand over Modi's face, prompting laughter from both of the others. Actually, said Genevieve, stepping away from the door, would you mind? I picked the lock and we all trooped inside, stepping carefully around pizza boxes and empty soft drink cans. An enormous pile of dirty clothing on the stained couch shifted, gradually resolving into a heavily bearded man who was well over 6 feet tall and wide enough to require a couch rather than a chair. "Hey there, Brick," said Genevieve. "Is it morning?" he groaned. "Where's Henrietta?" Genevieve asked. "You can come get her with us if you'd like." He rubbed his face with his hands and pulled the laptop from underneath a flame-painted motorbike helmet. "So we went to a stalker's house," is what I'm being told right now. Within minutes, he declared himself ready, and we called a second taxi to take us to a location he assured us was primo. Primo? I don't care. Brick didn't use the word the same way I did. He directed our taxi to a back alley that made his own apartment block look ritzy by comparison. We got out of the taxi, and I gagged at the stench of rotting meat. Brick's beard twitched with what I assume was a smile. I figured no one'd be here, not with a butcher shop facing the other way. That'd be the dumpster. I kept my mouth closed and nodded. "Please tell me the butcher has no direct link to Henrietta's abduction," said Sharon. "The lady's a bit beat up, but she's fine," Brick assured us. I wondered what his definition of a bit beat up might be. He pointed at the warehouse opposite. "In there." "How many company agents?" I asked. He shrugged. "Are they armed?" I asked. He shrugged. "What security do they have?" He shrugged, exchanging an eye roll with Genevieve. We'll let them go in." Sharon and I did our best to look casual as Brick and Genevieve pounded on the warehouse half-rotted front door. It broke apart at once. They stopped knocking and pulled away the door in enormous chunks, revealing the real door behind it, a solid metal door with one-way glass and a fingerprint scanner. I was getting more convinced the building belonged to the company. Dolores was an efficient woman. They knocked on the second door, but of course no one answered. "Well," said Sharon, "this is anticlimactic." "Wait for it," I said, and crossed the street. "Let me guess, you can get in." "Yes," I said, "I am a company agent, but Sharon isn't, and she trusts me to behave like a human being. Can you?" "Just get us inside," said Genevieve, collecting a $50 bill from Brick as she spoke. "I don't care what you do. I don't care who or what you are. In fact, I just made $50 betting you were lying to me." "Only by omission," I said. I crossed my fingers for luck and pressed my thumb onto the scanner. The door opened. I spotted the agent right away. He was tall with dark hair and 2 guns trained on me. He was also the only person not in a cage. "This isn't Big Bob's Meat Emporium, is it?" "Hey, Dolores sent me to take over for you." The agent's fingers twitched towards the triggers. "Don't shoot!" The dark-haired agent lowered his guns. "You have a emoticon? How'd you get that?" "You don't have one?" I said, swallowing a smile that he'd exposed his vulnerability so quickly. "Huh, so you never cracked a $2 million deal. Don't worry, keep at it and maybe you'll get there someday." He put one gun away. That was a good start. I glanced back through the open door to feign indifference, and saw Sharon standing in full view, and she was hugging Genevieve. Suddenly, I was reminded that Genevieve was on the complications matrix, which meant she was a real threat to the company. Every instinct in me screamed to trap Genevieve when I had the chance. It would be my job to do so. But now I'd seen how the company treated those it didn't trust. I simply didn't have the heart. I knew Sharon wouldn't either, and I was glad to be so sure of her. Choosing to forget that Genevieve and I had ever met, I gave the dark-haired agent my full attention. "Choose company," he said, grinning at his own joke, "but you've made a crowd." Off you go, then! Consider yourself relieved." He packed up his things and left, presumably to call someone and verify I was meant to be there. Taking a few steps forward, I saw the cages with people in them. I gulped at the sight. So this was the company's private prison. The second the door closed, I ran to the cage holding an old woman. "Henrietta?" She pressed herself against the bars on the other side of the cage. "Who are you, as boss? Don't think I'll make things easy for you. I'm old, not helpless." Sharon touched my shoulder. "How about I talk to her, and you deal with the others?" I let Sharon do her thing while I questioned the next captive, trying not to show my revulsion of the entire scene. I'd known the company wasn't always ethical, but this was evil. At my other side, Genevieve clasped hands with the third captive while Brick fetched the keys. I found the personal effects of the prisoners in cardboard boxes. Henrietta's box included her medical supplies, Genevieve's friend had an ancient copy of The Grapes of Wrath, and the middle prisoner had several sets of clothes and a bottle of contact lens solution. Interesting. I moved to keep the prisoners in view, rummaging through the box until I found the little container containing contact lenses. Golden contact lenses. I stood frozen as Genevieve and Brick walked away with the young man who turned out to be Genevieve's brother. someone the company considered a risk because of his attempts to unveil the corruption that led to the loss of their family farm. We're leaving, Genevieve stated as they walked past me. Turning away from the 100th day prisoner, I nodded at Genevieve. Get your brother to safety. Their farm was mostly highway now, but at least their brother was free. Sharon and Henrietta were already at the door, so there were only two of us left. The 100th day prisoner and I faced one another silently. She glanced at the open door, then back at me and the lens case. She knew exactly what I'd seen and what it meant to me. I'm gonna let her go, because that might help me in the future. I dropped the lens case, spilling the contacts and solution on the concrete floor. Oops, I said and stepped back out of her way. You're free now. She bolted for the door, and by the time I stepped outside, she was already out of sight. Well, said Sharon, that was an errand well done. Henrietta leaned heavily on her arm. I suppressed a surge of fury towards the dark-haired agent that had raised his hand against an innocent stargazer. You've redeemed yourself in my eyes, said Sharon to me, and for what that's worth. Thank you, I said, for your forgiveness as much as for your goodness. Now I know I haven't been good for you or Chrissy. Did I also gain redemption? Redemption is for souls, Modi. I'm not even sure what it means. You don't need redemption because you've never done anything wrong. We did call a bomb threat. But that's because I told him to. He doesn't do anything unless I tell him to, so he's done nothing wrong. That's very interesting, teacher. Let's just get moving, I said, feeling twitchy so close to the warehouse. Where to, boss? I got a trustworthy friend with plenty of spare rooms, or you could shout us to another hotel. Let's stay with your friend. Maybe he knows some stuff. We walked 3 blocks before finding a taxi rank. Henrietta was fading, and I was feeling the ache of adrenaline leaving my system. I was just awake enough that we passed a post office. A thought occurred to me. Modi had made a good point about Professor Soul's diary when we finally opened it using the key Sharon found. Perhaps Etienne would be able to decipher its contents. On a whim, I popped inside and posted Professor Soul's locked diary and cog to Etienne with a note to call me for instructions. I didn't see much of our new digs, but the bed looked heavenly. Henrietta gave a squeak of delight and went straight for the electric jug gleaming inside a little basket of tea. Oh, I see. She set the jug boiling and gathered mugs. How do you take your tea? She asked me. Depends on the blend. I don't drink coffee or tea. Do you have a favorite? She asked. Just bags, I'm afraid. Surprise me, I told her. Oh no, Henrietta said suddenly. Henry! It's all right, Sharon said, understanding her perfectly. We saw your cat when we were at your house and we gave him food and water. Thank you, dear, said Henrietta, calming down at once. May I borrow your phone to arrange things for my poor Henry? Of course, I said, giving her mine. She paused with her fingers over the button. What happens now? Is it even safe for me to go home? Is there somewhere else you'd like to go? I'm sure you'll be fine now that the pictures are gone. I told her. Henrietta raised her eyebrows at me. I'm old, not stupid. Now that I know my darling Henry will be all right, I'm certainly not returning to the house where I was beaten and kidnapped. Fair enough, said Sharon. So where will you go? I don't want to be sassy to an old woman. Before all this, said Henrietta, I was about to go on holiday, so that's what I intend to do. Good for you, said Sharon. We'll take you to the airport, of course. Absolutely. Shall I book you a flight, Miss Henrietta? Oh my, said Henrietta. I never can keep up with all the new technology these days, but I like it. Thank you, Miss Henrietta. Where would you like to go? She took a demure sip of tea. Cairo, Egypt. I'm going to see the Sphinx. Sphinx. Can I come too? Modi, I sputtered. With you too, teacher. We've never been to Africa. Modi, we're not on holiday. Miss Henrietta, the temperature in Cairo is currently 86 degrees Fahrenheit. You will need to go shopping. You're quite right, said Henrietta, not at all concerned that Modi was snubbing me. What shall I call you, charming little one? My name is Modi. Modi, she smiled. I confess my abductor failed to pack an appropriate range of clothes, even though he took the trouble to fetch my passport. It would have saved him some trouble to pack my insulin as well, but we were both distracted at the time. Let's stock up on medical supplies too, I said. I've chosen a series of shops that are open late. Shall I plot a route? Oh, said Sharon, I can feel my credit cards heating up already. Fine, I said with a chuckle, let's go see what Melbourne has to offer. What Melbourne had to offer was food and music and clothes and shoes and coffee and wine and even a highbrow tea or two for Henrietta. Dusk was falling as Sharon tried on a cherry red cocktail dress with matching heels. Too short, she asked me. It's fine. Shopping trip. Thanks, she said. She grinned. We'd better get going before we have too many bags to carry. Henrietta was flushed with excitement. Look, teacher, an Indian restaurant. Who wants butter chicken and rogan? I don't like spicy food. We're getting Indian food. We went inside and ordered too much food, taking turns to describe the taste and texture for Modi. Henrietta checked her blood sugar, then excused herself to inject some of the insulin we just bought for exactly such an occasion. Teacher, there is news from Indonesia that you should know. I put down my fork, tapping Modi's screen to signal that it should turn its speaker off. What is it, Modi? Mr. Boss and Mr. Dolt have both been killed. That's so wholesome. The investigation is ongoing, but it appears Mr. Dolt planned to testify against the 100th Day Group. Modi's my favorite character. Oh, I said. I see. What is it? Sharon asked. The 100th Day Group has begun murdering members that try to leave. Nothing we need to deal with. I mean, yeah. I may as well tell her. Okay then, said Sharon, unconcerned. She leaned back with a groan. If I eat any more, I'll actually explode. Henrietta burped and then giggled at herself. Oh, she said, I haven't drunk that much in years. My doctor's going to kill me. I laughed at that, which made me realize I wasn't entirely sober myself. Teacher, Henrietta's flight leaves in 3 hours. I recommend you allow plenty of time to get to the airport. Plenty of time, I said, and hiccuped. Sure. Are we gonna get a taxi or are we gonna drive drunk? Because I don't want to go straight to the airport if we, are gonna kill someone on the way there. Taxi. Modi reminded us to pay our bill before we staggered off into the night. Pretty diamonds, said Henrietta. Her voice came from behind me, far away. I turned to see Henrietta standing only 3 steps from the restaurant doorway, staring straight up. I looked up and saw a glorious clear sky filled with stars. The sight was sufficiently distracting that I almost fell over backwards. Sharon, I said. Sharon. 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 Oh, said Sharon, that's me. Look at the diamonds, I said, and she did. This is exactly what it's like talking to drunk people. She toppled backwards and I caught her, cleverly sending us both to the pavement with a chuckling pile of limbs. Henrietta dropped all her bags and began searching through them, while Sharon and I disentangled ourselves and discussed whether we should attempt to stand. At last Henrietta found what she was looking for. Her brand new, top-of-the-line, company-funded camera. The one with all the extra filters and lenses and stuff I couldn't even understand when sober. This is fanfic level stuff over here, right? This is what is happening. What is going on? She got out her tripod, put the camera on it, pointed it straight upwards, and began to take pictures. Even drunk as I was, surrounded by so many shopping bags that I could no longer count, high enough to know how many I had, I could see the waves of love and light streaming from Henrietta as she looked through a scope and twiddled with settings. Which gives me an idea. Oh no. Or maybe the waves were because I was drunk. Oh, maybe the waves were because I was drunk. Henrietta didn't have a lab or a research grant, but she loved the stars like she loved her tea. Her face shone with the joy that gave the lie to her frown of concentration. At last she sighed happily and took a few manual shots before setting the camera to automatically take hundreds of pictures in a row. She turned back to Sharon and me with a beatific? There's no U, so it is beatific smile, before cussing fluently. I was shocked at her until I remembered what she'd just been through. Far too much bloody light pollution around here, Henrietta went on calmly, but maybe one of the pics will turn out alright. Do you think the restaurants would turn off their lights for me? I wish they would, I said. Sharon managed to haul herself up with the assistance of a convenient bike rack. Where's my taxi? She said. We gotta get to the airport. Did I leave it somewhere stupid? Yep, I said, terribly pleased I'd managed to stand on my own. Peru. Oh, she said, better get another. She stumbled to the taxi rank and began telling the driver all about Chrissy. When she mentioned that Chrissy had gone back to Peru, the driver said with an edge of desperation, Peru? You want to go to the airport? Yes, that's it, said Sharon. The airport. Now, as I was saying. Jesus Christ. Said Henrietta. I feel woozy. Okay, lady, let's continue the conversation on the way, said the driver. And then, said Sharon, I thought I'd pay my sweet little Chrissy a visit in Cusco. Lovely place, Cusco. Nice leaves. I think I've forgotten something important, said Henrietta. I'm starting the meter now, lady, said the taxi driver to Sharon. How about you and your friends hop in and we'll get you to the airport before you start throwing up? I don't vomit, said Sharon with dignified hauteur. I make rainbows with my mouth. Henry, where's Henry? Said Henrietta. She paused and set the camera to take another round of pictures. No, that's not it. Henry's fine. I'm just something. Hypo? Drunk as a skunk? Teacher, please describe the sensation of inebriation. This is a marvelous opportunity. I need to get in the taxi, I said. All of me. Us. I took a handful of Henrietta's shopping and began loading our haul into the back seat. Please, teacher, try to focus. Focus, I said. Yes, Henrietta. She looked at me blankly. Would you believe I feel hungry? Egypt, I said. Time to go. Oh my, she said. What a silly old biddy I am. She began gathering her own bags. Silly Billy Biddy Boo. The camera stopped clicking and she absent-mindedly set it off for another round. Diamonds, she said. Diamonds are my best friend. All of me. Us. Is a really good line. I agree. I was just thinking, I was like, that sounds like some shit I would say if I was sleep deprived and trying to get everyone to, like, coordinate on something. And I was just like, all of me. Us. We need to go. She looked through the scope. Uh-oh. What is even happening now? We're trying to send a lady to Egypt, but she's taking pictures. What's after happening now? I don't know. She looked through the scope. Uh-oh, is the lens cap on, I asked. No, she said, suddenly serious. The stars are disappearing. We looked up again just in time to see some stars recede. Some disappear and others appear out of nowhere. There's a fucking plane going. The sun is gone, Henrietta said sadly, leaning heavily on me for balance. We're all going to die. Around us, people began to realize what was happening. Some screamed, some ran for their cars, others sat and wept. Sharon grabbed her phone. Come on, Chrissy, she said. Pick up. Are you alright, teacher? Your heartbeat is much too fast. I'm fine, Modi, I said automatically. It's just, I don't know if the sun will come back this time. We might be too late. An eerie silence fell, and all I could hear was the patter of running feet, tinny music from inside a shop across the road, and the click, click, click of Henrietta's camera, still faithfully catching diamonds. I shook my head, wrenching myself back into something resembling my usual self. Modi, please call Etienne. He says hello. Can I speak to him directly, please? I asked. Yes, teacher, go ahead. Etienne, I said. I take it you noticed the stars rearranging, he said. Neither of us spoke for a few moments. We both knew what it meant. You sound okay, he said. Are you? Of course, what about you? Oh, fine, he said. Don't worry about me. I'll worry if I want to, I said. By the way, he said, I received your parcel. That was fast. Good, I said, feeling a weight lift off my chest. That bump in the middle of the cog isn't a bump, it's a button. Which bump? He said. Oh, I see it. Oh. One of our phones might be bugged, but I think you can draw your own conclusions from there, I said. I certainly can, he said. And by the way, well done. It seems you knew my father better than I did. I sent the parcel because the opposite is true. Open it and you'll see what I mean. Ah, he said. Yes, I do see. Do you think you can read it? No, he said. I'm no scientist. Oh. But I can transcribe it into English. Fantastic, I said. Thank you. We said our goodbyes, and I asked Modi to email Dolores a message saying that she would soon have photos taken from a tripod before, during, and after the sun's current disappearance. Okay, teacher. Is Chrissy okay? I asked Sharon. Oh, yes, said Sharon, covering her phone with one hand. She's been buying emergency generators, and right now she's driving around town, giving them to the people that need them. We need to get moving, I said. This is not a good place to be. I love you too, Chrissy, Sharon said. Kiss my grandkids. I'll email when I can. Where do we go? Henrietta asked me, caressing her camera like a pet as it finally stopped clicking. She packed it up with the automatic movements of a soldier reassembling her gun. Doubt the airport will be sending out planes if there is no sun. Yeah. Looking around us as the city center dissolved into chaos, Sharon said softly, I think I've seen this movie. We need to get emergency supplies before they're all gone. Henrietta moaned and threw up into a garbage can. Don't tell Henry I threw up. He'll never let me forget it. Sure, I said, only half listening. Henrietta, said Henrietta, I don't think I can walk. Sharon and I struggled to hold her up. Under other circumstances, it might have been funny. We grabbed an abandoned shopping cart, piled her shopping inside as an improvised seat, and helped Henrietta inside. Don't throw up on my dress, Sharon said. Just because there's no sun is no excuse to not look our best. This is my chair, said Henrietta. Who are you? Henrietta, what is your blood sugar reading? She said and threw up a second time, just managing to hit the pavement instead of our things. I don't feel good. Oh no, said Sharon. This could be really, really bad. I found Henrietta's blood sugar monitor and took a reading. Modi, what does it mean if it reads 3.1? Miss Henrietta is in danger of falling into a diabetic coma. I've been in such a grommet, said Sharon. What do we do? What? Is that something Australians say? What the fuck is a grommet if not the dog from Wallace and Gromit? Grommet. Australian slang. Grom stems from the word grommet, a term generally used to denote the lowest-ranking members of a naval ship. This term was then borrowed by the Australian surf community to describe young, skilled surfers employed as both a term of respect and a way to poke a little fun at the younger guys and girls in the water. What? Whatever. I can't remember. Miss Henrietta needs to consume sugar immediately. Do you have anything? Sharon asked me. No, I turned back to the restaurant. Will that work, Modi? No fat. It delays the absorption of the sugar. I ran into the kitchen and grabbed a handful of sugar packets before running straight back out. How much should she have? I asked Modi. 4 packets, then test her blood sugar again in 20 minutes. We will need healthier food to stabilize her blood sugar. Have Sharon stay with her, because if she fucking passes out... Henrietta made a face but managed to eat all 4 sugar packets. The color returned to her cheeks almost immediately and her eyes cleared. Have I been swearing? She said. I think I remember swearing just now. Miss Henrietta, your body has reacted badly to the wine you consumed with dinner. I know, she said. It was a stupid thing to do, but I just wanted to stop feeling scared for a little while. Oh, Henrietta, said Sharon, holding her hand. I've done the exact same thing. She ruined the moment by burping, then giggling. Will you two be alright while I find some post-sugar food? I asked. We should stick together, said Sharon firmly. Fair enough, I said, knowing her well enough by now not to argue. Sirens sounded in the distance. They were coming closer. You know this place best, Sharon. Lead the way. Modi, please direct us. I mean, I guess Sharon. Whatever. Alright, said Sharon. We should raid the restaurant for ingredients and combine the few that don't involve major fat and carbs. Things could be worse elsewhere, and we need to get food and get out of here. I blinked. Did Sharon just say she was going to loot the restaurant? Go, Sharon! Sharon flashed a grin at me and walked inside the restaurant, going straight into the kitchen as if she owned the place. I hovered over Henrietta, watching through the windows as Sharon grabbed a plate and piled it high with salad and seasoned chicken pieces. It's been 20 minutes. It is time to check Miss Henrietta's blood sugar again. This time Henrietta tested herself. It's alright now, she said. I'll just have to be careful for a day or two. Once you've eaten Sharon's snack, we'll find a safe place to rest. We'll find a safe place for you to eat that. We'll wait until after we eat. Henrietta ate quickly as Sharon and I discussed what to do next, keeping a wary eye on the frightened people passing by. Let's find somewhere out of the way, I said. Crowds can turn ugly fast and we need food and water. We don't know how long it'll be till the sun comes back. And let's make sure we're working nearing Dunny, said Sharon. Is that like a... Oh, I see. Facilities, she said meaningfully. I said. We need to get to the airport. They'll have working toilet. Okay, I said, we need to get out of the CBD. I think we should. Teacher, I have found a suitable mode of transportation. Really? I said, turning in a circle and seeing nothing. Modi's screen displayed a photo of a woman with a spectacular 80s perm riding a motorbike. She looked vaguely familiar, so I showed the others. Oh, said Henrietta with a girlish blush. You cheeky Modi. The 2 yellow motorbikes parked under that tree have been abandoned. Wait, what? I said, Modi, are you recommending we steal them? Their owners could be nearby, and I'm sure they'll want to leave the CBD just as badly as we do. Their owners are already safe at their places of residence. Why do you know that? How do you possibly know that? I looked up their license plate, acquired their personal details, then located their phones. Well done. Good job. Good stalking. Good job. I don't suppose you chose them because their keys are in the ignition, I said hopefully. It was Sharon's turn to blush. That won't be a problem. She went to the first and hot-wired it in under a minute. It had a large metal pannier. Pannier? So she shoved back a surprising amount of our shopping in there. I don't know what a pannier is. I guess it's like a bike bag thing. Buckling it down so she could hold an overflow. It has a push-button ignition, so it's yours, she said to Henrietta. Henrietta donned the helmet hanging from the handlebars, wrinkling her nose at the smell. I'm afraid I don't know the way to the airport. No worries, said Sharon, revving the second bike. You can follow us. I swallowed all the objections I wanted to make and hopped on the bike behind Sharon, struggling with the remaining bags. It was very small and it stunk of spilled petrol. There was no convenient helmet hanging from the handlebars, so we'd both ride bareheaded. Sharon was breathless with excitement. Ready? I said. She roared off the curb, bouncing us both on our seats, and laughed. I heard Henrietta's bike behind us, but didn't dare look back. The roads were a nightmare. Some people had abandoned their vehicles in a panic. Some were furiously trying to get somewhere or had forgotten every road rule they ever knew. Today? Okay, I know this is a tangent, but real quick. I had to go to Walmart and I had to get gas today. It should have taken me like maybe half an hour, like wandering around Walmart included. It took me a full hour because people just forgot how to drive today, I guess. Cause like, okay, so you know how some streets are like, they have like a double left turning lane and then they've got like a couple of like lanes to like go straight or turn right? That's the kind of street I was on. The two turning lanes were backed up all the way to the next light. And I was sitting at this light. It was green and I was sitting stopped before the intersection because I'm like, it's fully stopped ahead of me. I'm not going to like pull out and block the whole intersection. And I'm like slowly going forward. And then I see people going into the lane next to me and zooming forward. And then their blinker turns back on. They're back in the lane as me. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that means that the lane I'm in, there's a reason for it to be this busy. Like, clearly that lane's closed or something. It was not. It was not closed. These people were just being super impatient to turn left on this street. And I'm like, what's going on down this street that everyone needs to go to suddenly? I don't know. It was so busy. But people were like weaving. There were people all the way in the far right lane with their blinker on going all the way to the left-hand lane. And I'm like, girl, what? Excuse me. So, like, as soon as I, like, could see around one of the cars trying to get into the left lane, I went around and I just went full straight to the next light because it was empty. It was just the turning lane. And I'm like, how many people need to turn left at this goddamn lane? Oh my god, it was fucking... Oh, it was awful. It took me half an hour longer than it needed to. Whatever. That's what that... Sorry about that tangent there. Anyways, emergency vehicles screamed in and out among the rest as if the entire city was burning. Pedestrians ran right into the road, too alarmed to think straight. Sharon weaved through the chaos like a salmon swimming upstream, sleek, sure, fast enough to defy gravity. I held on tight and squeezed my eyes shut as she weaved in and out of every lane on the road, inspiring a cacophony of horns and adding her own to the mix. The motorbike tipped with every curve, scraping my left knee against the road when Sharon turned a sharp corner. I don't want to die. Even Modi's maximum volume was whipped away by the wind of our passing. I managed to glance behind us and saw Henrietta somehow keeping pace with us, her face pale but determined. We took the airport exit and Sharon took us all to the way... Oh my god. Sharon took us all the way to the doors. Sharon took us all the way to the doors. Oh my god. Did I pass the fucking lit test? Oh my god. What is wrong with me? Hopping in after visiting a pool? How was your pool visit? I hope you're enjoying me having an existential crisis over being able to read. Last time I was in a pool, it was super salty and it hurt my eyeballs to open them. Cool, and I am drying. That's good. Always good when the pool's cool. Okay. We took the airport exit and Sharon took us all the way to the doors. Nailed it. Hopping the curb once more and making me yelp in horror. This is the only reason why I couldn't be a voice actor. Because I can't read. She set the stand and helped me down, holding onto my arms until my shaking legs could hold me again. Henrietta pulled up on the road beside us, remaining standing on the bike while she caught her breath. That was fun! I was speechless. Sharon loaded up a baggage cart with our shopping and settled Henrietta on top of it as if it was a wheeled throne. My blood sugar's a little off, Henrietta reported. I'll test again in 15 minutes. I pointed wordlessly at a screen saying that all flights were canceled for at least 24 hours. Huh, said Sharon. Should we go to a hotel? I cast a glance back at our bikes, which were clicking and popping as they cooled in the night air. No. She led us to the premium lounge instead, which had long since been abandoned by its gatekeeper. It was completely empty, an enormous room. We're still drunk. We're still all drunk. You don't sober up that fast. It was completely empty, an enormous room overstuffed with couches and its own snack bar. Ah, said Sharon, flopping on into an armchair and kicking off her shoes. This is the life. I just had massive deja vu. Oh my god. Anyways, Henrietta took another blood sugar reading and announced the steady result for our benefit. Also, I read the wrong. It doesn't matter. She ate a small number of crackers and promptly went to sleep. Dolores is calling you, teacher. Thanks, Modi put her through. Italy, said Dolores. Hello, Dolores, I said. You've returned. Welcome back. That's where you're going, she said. Oh, yes? With allergies for dessert. That recording of the Indonesian satellites was the Italian astronaut Luca Parmigiano. I know, I told her. Everyone knows now that he nearly died in space and has since left the program to work as an aquanaut. No, she said, I don't think so, and that's why you're going to Italy ASAP. Have you looked out a window lately? I asked. I'm aware you haven't fixed the sun, she said dryly. Under the circumstances you've received an increase in the discretionary fund you're so fond of? Thanks, Dolores. I explained everything to Sharon and Henrietta. I suppose it's lucky I'm already at an airport, I said, assuming the planes start flying again. I'll do my best. Once Dolores was dealt with, there was little left to do but wait. Hey, said Sharon, are the phone lines working? So it would seem, I said, suddenly realizing I could call Etienne. Sharon's called Chrissy while I phoned Etienne. Etienne was breathless as we rushed through our pleasantries. I'm working on the diary. Can you make any sense of it? I asked. No, I mean, not the science bits, but I found a name someone my dad thought was absolutely critical. What's the name? Is there any information about how to find him? The name is Umi, he said. I did some Googling just in case. He came up right away, even without a surname. He's just a kid, but the world is starting to pay attention to him. He's in Egypt. Why Egypt? I asked. Etienne laughed. He's Egyptian, that's why. Thank you for that. Why is he so important? Most people are calling him a psychic. I said. Etienne sighed. He predicted both of the sun outages accurately. No, scratch that. All three. I'd dismiss it as some kind of scam, but... Professor Soul, I said. Yeah, he said. Did he seem like he was losing it towards the end? Well, he was paranoid, but he was right about that. Yes, said Etienne, a mixture of relief and sorrow in his voice. I told him what Dolores has told me about the Italian astronaut. Interesting, he said. I hope he's alright. I'll be off to Egypt, of course. I'm out of the hospital, but I've learned everything I can here in Japan. I may meet you there? I mean, if I'm going to Italy, there's no reason I can't go to Cairo after. I may meet you there. Things are surprisingly orderly here, so don't expect any travel problems at this end. Gotta love Japan. Hopefully the sun will be back by the time you land, I said, hearing the hollowness in my voice. Sure, he said gently. After that, there was little to do but sleep until morning. Sharon turned on the news and we watched badly lit scenes of chaos from around Australia. Kangaroos were attacking people in Canberra. There were riots in Perth. An entire pod of whales had swum ashore in Sydney. Most of central Melbourne was on fire, including the museum, university, and zoo. Cairo is currently under martial law. Are there riots there? Asked Sharon cheerfully. Cheerfully? Fires? Looting? Animal attacks? There are extremely strict curfews. Is that all? Said Sharon, sounding disappointed. Italy for me, then. You guys stay here, I said. I'm going to see what I can find out about that flight, or I'm going to see if I can get some decent food. We don't need food. We need flight. I stopped inside the entryway and listened. There wasn't much to hear, although I was able to make out tinny music coming from the direction of the food court. Either a good Samaritan was setting up shop to help supply the hungry masses, or someone had realized the same hungry masses would pay anything for a meal, and maybe a coffee. Either way, the music broadcast their presence beautifully. I headed in that direction, powerless to resist the siren call. I always misread martial law as marital law. Cairo is under marital law. I said fucking the flight, not food. Whatever. Before I was inside of the food court, I saw an airport security guard strolling by and gave him a companionable nod. It was good to see people, especially people getting back to some kind of routine. Who are you and what are you doing here? He asked. I'm waiting for a flight to Egypt, I said, but I'm going to need a coffee. He drew his weapon, pointing it at the ground in front of me. Are you from the plane? I lifted my hands, palms open and facing him. Which plane? He frowned at me before evidently deciding my confusion was real and holstering his gun. I kept my hands up. A group of crazies insisted on boarding their flight to Egypt this morning. Early this morning, they said. They're still on that plane, just waiting. Oh, I said. I've been watching the news here in the airport, but I didn't see that. All I'm doing is peacefully staying in public areas until this gets sorted out. He shook his head at me. Limited domestic flights and only until tomorrow, he said. Not just here, but all through Australia. Oh, I said. You better go home, he said. I'd be home myself if I could. Agree and leave, then sneak back in. I will just ask. Not exactly a Melbourne native, I pointed out. Home, hotel, whatever. Traveling with a Tasmanian woman who had a hypoglycemic attack last night. She needs proper food before she goes anywhere, particularly considering how much of Melbourne is burning. He flinched. How? What happened? Arson, I think. In the end, we're all still afraid of the dark. Are we? He looked out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the smoky black sky beyond the artificial lights. It looks like we're right to be afraid. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? Where's this diabetic? He asked. In the premium lounge, I told him with a guilty shrug. Where can we find low GI food? GI. He led me to a cafe in the opposite direction, where we bought freshly cooked toast and eggs for all, as well as real coffee. Once he escorted me back to the premium lounge, he checked Henrietta's medical supplies and left us there. We ate, napped, watched TV, and chatted idly as the hours drifted by. Henrietta drank her way through the entire lounge's supply of tea. Sharon began pacing like a caged bear. I'm not going to try and get her on the plane. That's probably the 100-day cult. The artificial lights stayed on, so we relied on our clocks to tell us when it was nighttime. Also, the sun is gone. We ate the last of the fresh food for dinner, and I could tell the others were remembering how well we'd eaten at the restaurant so recently. It felt like a lifetime ago. Sharon and Henry bickered. Henrietta. Also, her husband and her cat's name are Henry, and her name is Henrietta. They couldn't have thought of another name for any of them. Whatever. Sharon and Henrietta bickered over who drank all the tea, and I just had enough wisdom to keep my mouth shut. Miss Henrietta drank 17 cups of tea, and Miss Sharon drank 5 cups. I clapped my hand over Modi's face, but I wasn't fast enough to avoid Henrietta's death glare. That's it, she said. I'm leaving. Where? I said, bewildered. How? She gathered her things. I'm going to get on my plane. If you go, we go, said Sharon, grinning like she'd been waiting for the excuse. BRB again. Where you being back from? If you go, we go, said Sharon. You literally said that you'd rather go to Italy. Whatever. Grinning like she'd been waiting for the excuse, but we do it properly, I said. We packed and rearranged our things, wearing most of our clothes all at once, and strapped our most precious belongings onto us. Henrietta did not change her mind. I checked that Modi was secure and hidden under my sleeve. Henrietta looked like a hunchback with her camera bundled and fastened to her back. Sharon wore her new red cocktail dress with the heels buckled to the strap of her bra. What? Why? We looked like idiots, but perhaps that was for the best. Modi, I said, can you advise us on a way to get on board without encountering security? This is very exciting. The greatest concentration of security is located in and around the boarding gate. There are 4 guards placed on the tarmac to watch the rear exit of the plane. Thus far, all the passengers who left the plane were permitted to exit the airport freely under a temporary amnesty. The remainder are unarmed and have made no threats. The pilot and flight crew are Egyptian nationals who have refused to leave the plane. They will lose their jobs, but will not be charged so long as they remain grounded. I thought carefully about what Modi had said. The people that gave up and left the plane, how did they do that? Did they use the rear exit onto the tarmac, or did they walk through one of those portable tunnel things? They exited the plane using the jetway that was left there for the purpose. Is it still in position? I asked, and is one of those horizontally folding ones, or metal? It was predominantly metal with glass windows. Sharon, do you have anything heavy, as in brick-like? I asked. I like where you're going with this, she said. Shall I smash the jetway glass and go on the plane with Henrietta while you distract security? It doesn't sound so great when you say it out loud, I said. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, they said in unison. What if the plane actually goes to Cairo? I asked Sharon. No worries, I'd like to chase your missing astronaut with you in Italy, but Egypt's gross too. Okay, so what are you gonna do? I'll run over yelling for help and hope they follow. Fire seems to be Melbourne's thing. I'll hit an alarm. Fire alarm wouldn't attract security. Right? This might only get one person, though. We'll go with fire alarm. Modi found a security-free path for us to get out of the premium lounge and down to the tarmac. We gathered more supplies in abandoned cafes and ducked into empty shops on Modi's command just in time to watch security teams walk past. I am very good at this. Someday we're going to have to do less crime, I said. Shall I hack the security radio channel to make your emergency more plausible? Oh, yes, please, I said. The portable stairs are in position. Proceed when ready. Okay, I said. Good luck. Wait, said Sharon. Are you going to Egypt too? You could see more of Henrietta. No. Honestly, I haven't decided. I've decided. I'm saying no. They're going to Italy. I honestly haven't decided yet. I'll let you know either way. I'll miss you if you don't end up in Italy, said Sharon. Try not to do anything too dangerous, and don't break into the hijacked plane until the security guards run off. Sharon laughed. Can you even hear yourself? I sighed and headed back into the deserted cafe that hadn't been locked up when the staff abandoned it. Whether the world was really ending or not, I was glad to not have a family at such a time. In the meantime, I was going to add a little realism to my fake crisis. I searched the cooking area and soon found what I was looking for. The stove. The toaster oven. I packed it with stale bread and turned it on before sorting through the rest of the cafe and helping myself to anything that looked like it would keep Henrietta's blood sugar stable. The oven began to smoke, but that wasn't enough. I made myself a coffee and feasted on a club sandwich from the freezer. Too bad the toaster wasn't available. When I was good and ready, I moved the toaster under a smoke alarm and returned to Sharon and Henrietta, tripping every fire alarm I saw along the way. I gave them a nod as I ran past, screaming about a fire. One of the guards checked her radio was on. Why isn't there any chatter? Right on her cue, her walkie-talkie crackled to life, and I was sure I recognized Modi's voice. Fire in Sector 12. Assistance required from neighboring sectors. That's us, she said. She led the others towards the supposed fire. They ran right past us, but didn't bother to stop. Our path on board was completely clear. Well, run me over with a semi-trailer and call me Skippy. No one talks like this. She's itching. Did you just almost eat your foot? Is that what I just watched happen? You're a weird dog. I was looking forward to a little old-fashioned B&E. She's kicking herself in the face. I gave her a shaky laugh. Have a good flight, Henrietta. I hope it takes off soon. Are you coming with me? She said. Egypt is such a wonderful place and full of ancient mysteries to uncover. I glanced at my watch, then stared at it. Modi, is that the right time? Local time is 9 p.m., teacher. What is it? What's wrong? I sighed. The sun's been out for 2 full days. She'll be right, she said, giving me a pat on the shoulder. Sorry, I'm watching my dog. Sharon, I said, shocked. Do you really think that? She simply laughed, clearly unaffected by the fact the sun could be out forever this time. Relax, Possum. Everything will turn out all right. You'll see. Possum? Possums are tree-dwelling marsupials around the size of domestic cats, teachers. I know what a possum is. They are urban rodents in Australian urban areas. I know what possums are, Modi, I said to Sharon's laughter. She grinned delightedly. There's hope for you yet. Thank you, I said. Mate? Well, she said now, where to now? The big question. Meet Etienne in Egypt or go with Sharon to Italy? I thought Sharon was going to Egypt. What? I'm with Henrietta. It's clear the passengers on the plane aren't considered a threat. I'll wait for a flight to Italy. We can go together. I thought Sharon said she was going to Italy because I don't like the romance narrative that they're pushing with Sharon. I don't enjoy that. Why is it there? Why is it always there? Waiting for a flight to Italy. Sharon smiled widely at me before hugging Henrietta. Be careful in Egypt. Thanks for everything, Henrietta told us and boarded the plane. We made it back inside the terminal and returned to the airport lounge. After an hour, the airport finally announced that international flights were running again on a limited basis. I quickly had Modi buy us tickets. Looks like we got lucky, I said to Sharon. There aren't many tickets at all. Okay. Alright. Sharon snorted as if the concept of limited tickets was never going to stop her from getting to her chosen destination. Once Sharon and I were in the air, I glanced out the window moodily. Teacher, is something wrong? My back and my mouth and tummy hurt, but in a good way because it's from grapefruit. I didn't answer. I felt sick. A lump rose in my throat. It had nothing to do with the violent turbulence we were experiencing. It had everything to do with the dead star in the sky. Arc 7 completed. You and 20% of players will be heading to Italy after saving Henrietta in Australia. That means 80% of people went to... 80% of people went to Egypt? Goddamn. Okay. Well, with that, that is where I'm going to end the stream today. Because my throat hurts. Do you think if you went to Japan, it would give you a romantic option for Etienne? I think it would, actually. Yeah. I genuinely do think so. I think that'd be really, really good. Really cute as well, but I don't know. I'm not digging the Sharon thing, because she's like, I don't know. Just something about her. My second favorite character. Alright. That is all for today. My dog probably has to go outside, which is why she probably left. So I'm gonna end this one here. This was fun. I had fun. I forgot that I had Grommet Googled. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back tomorrow. I like things like this give me the option to not pursue a romantic... Yeah, I know. They give you the option, but then they fucking rip it away when they're like, oh, actually, Sharon's not going to Cairo with Henrietta. She's going to come with you to Italy. But if you want to go to Italy, you can't choose to be alone. It's fine. Whatever. I don't mind. But yeah. Georgia? I swore I heard her. Anyways. Yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow. We'll finish this game. What the dog doing? we'll finish this game tomorrow. Ideally, it'll only be 4 hours. Gorba, come here. It's fine. She'll still be here tomorrow. But yeah, so we'll finish this up tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we'll play Mario 64. Oh, a little thing for next week. I will not be streaming Friday, Saturday, or Sunday next week. It'll just be Wednesday and Thursday. Because got things to do. But I'll be back the next week. Then my sister will be here. So maybe I'll stream while she's here and you guys can meet her. That would be fun. But yeah. So I guess we flipped a coin and it decided we would continue playing this game. That is how the coin flip works. That's how the cookie crumbles. I need to get an external hard drive. This is not important. Okay, I'm ending the stream. I gotta let my dog out. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly. I am. Yes. Okay. Epic stream, thank you. Epic stream, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for laying on the floor while I was playing. Thank you for listening. There isn't much to watch in this game, but I do think that it is fun. I will say that. It's definitely an interesting game. It's got an interesting storyline, even though it's a little complicated. But I still find it interesting. Like, I still want to know what happens, which is why I said, like, even if I don't finish it on stream, I'm still going to finish it in my own time. But yeah. I hope this was a very decisive stream, because that's what I labeled it. Okay. Have a lovely night. Have a lovely day. I got too warm and needed to be on the wood flooring. That's fair. I can put my hand here. Okay. 'Twas. Have a lovely night. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely afternoon. Have a lovely Saturday. I will see you tomorrow. I don't know how to end streams. I've been doing this for like 6 months and I still don't know what I'm doing. But thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.